looking thing. That's a nasty. I look up there when I'm having. Now you see the moon, but you see drones all over it, huh? I can see it. CEO of Worldwide Amazon. Thank you, Doug, very much. Investing $4 billion this year alone, and I know they said they're going to be investing a lot over the next 2 years. We appreciate it very much. Thank you, and say hello to everybody. CEO of Venture Global, Mike Sable. Mike, thank you very much, Mike. Investing $18 billion in liquefied natural gas expansion in Louisiana. That's going to work out good. Thank you very much. President and CEO of Siemens, U.S.A., big company. Barbara Humpton. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you very much. Investing $285 million. Executive Global Chairman of Pratt Industries, friend of mine, Anthony Pratt. He's investing $5 billion. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. I read a report today he's the richest man in Australia, but who the hell knows? Do you think you're the richest man in Australia? Close. I don't like to put you on the spot like that, Anthony, but that's pretty good. Thank you very much. That's great. $5 billion. Founder and CEO, Chobani Hamde Oliaka. Where are you? Thank you very much. Investing $1.2 billion. Thank you very much. CEO of Bell Brands USA, Yvonne Girard. Yvonne, thank you very much. Thank you very much. $350 million. President of Schneider Electric North America, Amber Paul. Amber, thank you very much. Investing $700 million for energy infrastructure and its largest investment in its CEO of Johnson & Johnson. Oh, I know. I've heard of that company, huh? Yeah. My hair looks so beautiful because of your product. Joaquin Duato, $55 billion manufacturing plant and research and development and technology. Thank you very much. But you got to catch up with Apple and some of the others. We got to get you to make a little, one of the few companies that could do that, right? Chair and CEO of Eli Lilly, a great guy. Every time I talk to him about drug prices, he sweet talks me. He tells me about the middleman. The middleman keeps telling me about the middleman. By the time I leave the meetings, I was telling my people, I say, gee, he's giving us a great bargain. You know. But David, you have done some job. David Ricks, you have done some job. I'll see you later too. $27 billion, doubling its manufacturing investment in the U.S., and he's got a very hot topic right now going, don't you? This stuff is doing really well, isn't it? Really hot company. Thank you very much, David. CEO of Novartis, Vas Narasimhan, and that's $23 billion. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vas. CEO of Genentech, Ashley Mugargi, $50 billion. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Good, thank you, Ashley. That's a big one. CEO of AbbVie, Rob Michael, $10 billion. Thank you very much. Thank you, good company. President and CEO of Thermo Fisher, Mark Casper, $2 billion. Thank you, Mark, very much. Chairman and CEO of Merck, great company, Rob Davis, $9 billion. Thank you very much, Rob. Chairman and CEO of Abbott, Robert Ford, $500 million. Thank you, Robert. Chairman and CEO of a company called IBM. Fantastic, $150 billion. That's all? That's great. Thank you very much. You've done a great job. You've done a great job with that company, too, I'll tell you. Chairman and CEO of GE Aerospace, Larry Culp. Larry, thank you very much, Larry. And Larry's investing $1 billion in manufacturing across 16 states, and with us as we have the model of their F-110 engine, which I hear is like, I must tell you, I hear it's the hottest engine there is. You've got you got a gold mine over there, Larry, which powers our nation's finest fighter jets and other jets. And your big engine is really something that I hear is beyond anything that has been produced yet. So good luck with it. And Larry, I think we're going to ask you to say a few words, actually. So come on up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here representing all of my colleagues at GE Aerospace. We are today 125 years old, but we are inventing the future of flight. Today, we power 3/4 of the world's commercial airlines and nearly 2/3 of the U.S. military combat jets and helicopters. So what you see here with the F-110 powers 70% of the newest Air Force F-15s and the F-16s. I know you were in Michigan just yesterday. This is the engine that will be under wing on the F-15EX Eagle II that the Michigan Air National. We're excited about what's happening at our company. We're investing $1 billion across 16 states, not only in our manufacturing footprint, but with so many of the small and mid-sized businesses that constitute our supply chain. There's a lot happening. We're excited about it. Mr. President, thank you for what you're doing, not only to revitalize U.S. manufacturing, but helping ensure that the U.S. aerospace industry, one of our biggest net exporters, continues to lead the world in innovation. Thank you.
And he has done a really great job. You took over a slightly troubled company, and now you've made it hot as a pistol. So that's really an amazing job you've done in a short period of time. Also with us is Chairman and CEO of SoftBank, Masa. Where's Masa? Masa, come on up here, Masa. Masa has pledged $200 billion plus another $500 billion with Oracle and OpenAI for a total of $700 billion. Thank you, Masa. Come on up, please.
Well, first time of Trump administration, we made an announcement, commitment, $50 billion. We delivered $70 billion over 4 years last time. This time, I tried to commit $100 billion, and President Trump said, "Oh, Masa, go for more." So we did that $200 billion commitment, and then right after that, we SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and MGX together, we announced $500 billion investment. This is the largest investment for infrastructure in the United States, investment. And I think this is more than the scale. The importance is this is the largest infrastructure for the AI, which is the future of mankind, I believe. It's going to change every industry, every way of how our mankind's lifestyle of the future. I am committed. U.S. is the center of innovation. U.S. must continue the leadership of AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Masa. Been a friend of mine for a long time. These guys are mover. We got to say, you are really something. It's great. We appreciate it too. It's a great spirit, great genius. Tim Cook from Apple is pledging, not only pledging, is committed to $500 billion. They're going to build plants all over the country, 7 or 8 different states. They've already started. And so I want to thank Tim. That's such a big investment for somebody that, had them pretty much in one location, as you know. Now they're coming into the United States, I believe, because of the spirit and the tariffs and the incentives. So that's Apple for $500 billion. And one of the most brilliant men that you'll ever meet, the man that's done in a short period of time something that is incredible. He's the founder, CEO, and president of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang. He's producing up to $500 billion over the next 4 years to manufacture the most powerful AI chips entirely in the U.S.A. for the first time ever. Jensen, would you come up and say a few words? This is a smart cookie.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor to be here. NVIDIA reinvented computing for the first time after 60 years. In fact, everyone at IBM knows since the 60s. The IBM System 360 described really quite perfectly the computer that we use today. Central processing units, operating systems, the separation of hardware and software, I/O subsystems, multitasking. All of the words that we use to describe computers today were really invented in 1964, the year after my birth. Well, after all this time, we've reinvented computers again. This is what a processor looks like. It's on the right there. People say it's a GPU. That's one GPU unit, and it's 70 pounds, 60,000 parts, 10,000 watts. In order to manufacture it requires probably a couple of hundred companies in the supply chain. It is so heavy that it requires robotics to do. It's so precise. And just to test a supercomputer requires a supercomputer. And we're going to build NVIDIA's technology, the next generation of that, all here in the United States. Without the president's leadership, his policies, his support, and very importantly, his strong encouragement. And I mean his strong encouragement. Frankly, manufacturing in the United States wouldn't have accelerated to this pace. Manufacturing isn't about low-cost labor anymore. Manufacturing is about technology. And most of are the most advanced factories in the future. And we're going to use artificial intelligence and robotics and omniverse digital twin technology to make it possible for us to create the factories of the future. And we ought to build it. We ought to build it right here. The really amazing thing is that this computer is the engine of a whole new industry. And this new industry is called artificial intelligence. And this new industry is a manufacturing industry in itself. That's a factory machine. Just as several hundred years ago, the dynamo was invented, water would come in and electricity would come out. Now electricity goes into this machine and incredible tokens come out, artificial intelligence. In order for this industry to thrive, we need to build these systems, of course, but we also need a progressive growth and industry-oriented energy policy, which this president has really put his weight behind. I really appreciate
you're
that.
busy right now.
Without energy, we can't possibly have new growth industries. And we now have the backing of the administration, the backing of President Trump to support the creation of a whole new industry. This industry is going to enable a whole bunch of other industries. What we now call the AI infrastructure is going to revolutionize every industry that we know. All of the many CEOs in the room today are great partners of ours for that reason. We're working on artificial intelligence for many industries, from healthcare to drug discovery to different industries. And that's going to be possible because we have the fundamental infrastructure here in the United States. And so I want to thank you, sir, for everything that you've done and the strong encouragement and the great policies that make it possible for us. Thank you, sir.
Very much. Thanks. Another brilliant man. You know, we have brilliant people here, and we like brilliant people. Actually,
stars. How we doing?
we have a lot of brilliant people in this group, and it's an honor to be with you. Past 100 days have been fighting to reclaim our jobs and bring our country back to a level that it's never seen before, and again renew the American dream, which is what we're doing. We have tremendous spirit. I don't know if you've heard, but it's become really quite a story. I see Pete's right over here, Secretary of Defense. We have the largest number of new enlistees or people enlisting in the military forces that we've ever had. And if you remember, 6 months ago, we couldn't get anybody to sign up. That's a big turn in a very short period of time. And November 5th had a lot to do with that, and our Secretary of Defense and a lot of the people that you see sitting here really had a lot to do with that. There's great spirit. I can say that also with the police forces throughout the country. We're having a hard time filling them up. It's a dangerous job, but now we have waiting lists at almost every place. And that's an amazing accomplishment when you think. It's amazing. And when I first came here, you remember just 3 months ago, I came in and they started screaming. The fake news was screaming. They were going crazy about eggs. I don't know about eggs. What's with eggs? Tell me. They said, their cost is up 50% and you won't have them for Easter. I said, well, I'll have to get onto it. But this isn't my problem. This is Biden's problem. I've only been here for 4 days. They're screaming at me about eggs like it was my fault. I just got here. Didn't know anything about it. We got it taken care of, and eggs dropped 87% in the last short period of time, and everybody had eggs for Easter. In fact, we had a big Easter egg hunt on the lawns. We had 48,000 people actually came. And we had a lot of eggs. I don't know how many, but there were a lot. We didn't use plastic. They said, could you use plastic eggs? This is in early January. And I see our Secretary of Agriculture is here. Would you stand up? You did a great job. You got me out of a lot of trouble. Brooke Rollins. She got me out of a lot because they were trying to blame me for eggs, and I didn't know anything about it yet. Explain it to me. But we had plenty of eggs, Brooke, right, for Easter. And we have another man in the audience who's maybe the most important man in the room because he's the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, meaning he's the one that approves all your plants. And when Jensen and some of the others came in about numerous of the others, especially having to do with AI, they came in.
There you go. I got one more.
Number one, I learned we need double the electricity that we have right now for the whole country, and really more than that. I mean, 2 times would be even better. It was like unlimited thirst for electricity. And at first I said, how's that possible? But that's, whatever it is, it's possible. That machine that you say you can barely lift is, I guess, it sucks up a lot of energy. But we need more than double what we have right now. So you take all of the energy, even the energy in this beautiful, incredible, is this the greatest? I mean, no matter, I don't care where you come from with your $50 billion plant, the White House is the White House, right? You got to see in the Oval Office, if you want to take a trip down to the Oval Office, any of you come down with me, I'll show you a beautiful office. It'll blow your beautiful offices away. They'll stop and they'll say, for a lot of other reasons, but it's a beautiful place. And if you want to, I'm serious, you can do that. But I told Jensen, I told Tim, I told everybody that's building these very big, incredible plants, really plants of the future, they were talking about hooking. It's subject to mishap. Things can happen, including storms and much worse than storms. And along with your building, you can build it inside of the plant or you can build it outside of the plant. And I went to Lee Zeldin right here, and I said, Lee, we got to get fast approvals for these people. They're going to do the best job. They're going to have the best engineers, the best everything. Would like to have them build their electric for them. They don't have to go outside. You become a utility. You become a great producer of electric, and if you have any extra, you put it back into the grid if you want, or you sell it back in.
Come on,
but you're going to be able to build, so this way we don't have to worry about do we have enough. Because if you look at California, they have brownouts, blackouts, and everything else. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Governor doesn't have a clue. But the last thing you want to do is be hooking up to the California grid so that we can go in and you'll say, gee, we have to close down the factory for a couple of days. We have a little brownout going on. So you're going to be able to build your own plant and produce as much electric as your beautiful heart's desire. And that'll be something that nobody's done before. And we're going to ask Lee to get those approved very quickly. And he'll get it approved before you can even imagine. He's great. He's great. He knows the difference. You can take years to get those approved. I would say previous to us, it would be years and years. Or you could take weeks to get them approved, and it'll be just as good. But they don't play games, and they're going to get it done, and they'll get it done very quickly. So that's going to be a big help because you're going to have unlimited energy, unlimited electricity. And I think it's going to really, we want to stay number one. We're number one right now by a lot. I will say this, if I didn't get elected, I would say get out of the AI business fast. Get out of all business fast, probably. Maybe get out of the country fast, because this country was heading in the wrong direction, but now it's heading in the right direction. I think it's the most consequential 100 days in the history of our country in certain ways. We had an editorial from a group that normally wouldn't give good editorials. President, because of what he's doing with all of these policies that you're reading about, long beyond the electricity and the plants, having to do with many other things like secure borders and all of the many things. I could go down and name them. We're gonna be getting tremendous amounts of drug and pharmaceutical companies going to be pouring into the country. They're going to have to. And we're going to give them a lot of time to do it, but after that, there's going to be a tariff wall put up, and they won't be happy about it, but they'll be happy if they start building right now. Right now, it's going to be build, and after a certain period of time, it's going to get tougher, and then it's going to be real hard to do business in this country. So for the pharmaceutical companies, chip companies, a lot of different companies, we're all set to really grow. Groceries are down. The grocery prices are down. Gasoline prices are down. We had some gasoline selling for $1.98 a gallon just recently in 3 different states over the last 2 days. It was at $4, and it was higher than that in some places. It was over $5. We have it way down. Energy prices are down all over the country. Mortgage rates are actually down slightly, even though I have a guy in the Fed that I'm not a huge fan of, but that's all right. These are minor details. Don't tell him I said that, please. As the cameras rock and roll back there. No, he should reduce interest rates. I think I understand interest a lot better than him, because I've had to really use interest rates. But we should have interest rates go down. It would be positive, but it's not going to matter that much, because ultimately what we're creating has much more to do with other things than it does just pure interest rates. But it would be nice for people wanting to buy homes and things. The prescription drug prices just saw the largest monthly decline ever recorded. So, David, I'm having a little bit of an impact, at least on you, as I just browbeat this guy. He looks like he's 25 years old. He has this massive company, Eli Lilly, and it has no impact on him whatsoever. But I just see this number just came out. It's the largest monthly decline ever recorded. Yeah, but it's probably about 2%. They did that to make me feel a little bit better. But I appreciate it. We have achieved the lowest number of illegal border crossings in U.S. history, and we're at a level that nobody thought we could get to in 2 years, let alone a couple of months. And I think Kristi Noem is here someplace. Where is Kristi? She's here. Stand up, Kristi. And Tom Homan. And I see Linda. Stand up, Linda. You're doing so good. Education. We're bringing education back to the States, where it belongs. And she's been incredible. She's very upset with Harvard. They have $53 billion in a fund, and yet they want more grants. And it looks like we're not going to be giving them any more grants, right, Linda? And, a grant is at our discretion, and they're really not behaving well, so it's too bad. But our country is roaring like never before. Nobody's ever really seen anything like this. And again, the big thing is whether it's $8 trillion or even more than that, by the end of the year, it could be a number that would be...
Are you going to watch this year,
I think it's already... There's never been anything like it, but this is in a period of a couple of months. I think by the end of the year, the numbers will be just staggering. It's really going to be something very special, and I'm very honored to be with you. And I'd ask if anybody has any questions, please. This is your time. This is your time. You'll be live on television, all the fake news back there. Now that'll keep them down, right? That's the way to keep them down, unless they're bad people, in which case, unless they want to make some news. Would anybody have any questions? Anybody? Business leaders? You want to know anything about depreciation? No? I love it. we've done such a good job, we don't have to take. Howard, would you like to say a couple of words, please?
The president talks about $8 trillion coming into America. And there's only one reason it's coming in. It's because he's finally set an industrial policy for the United States of America. We are the greatest economy in the world. We finally have a president who understands that we need to reindustrialize. We need to be made in America, made in the USA. And you feel it. You feel it with these leaders. You feel it across all your peers. Everyone feels it. It's coming back to America, and we are going to be rocking. So thank you, sir.
Great job. Great job. So thank you very much, everybody. And for the business leaders, if any of you would like to come down to the Oval and say hello, if you've never seen it, if you have seen it, just go home and enjoy your lives, count your money. But if you'd like to come down, I'm heading down there now. And again, thank you very much, everybody. Pam, you're doing a fantastic job. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
All right, let's get to the other one there. I'm going to watch the other one. But Lithards can see that, this whole, Michelle Obama, they've been lying to the American people for a long time. Hello, how are you doing? Has been lying to the American people, walking around telling the American people, oh, Michelle is a woman. Oh, she had a baby. You know what? It's a whole bunch of bullshit. It's all they keep. Michelle, she has finally admitted.
The seraph.
Let's get it going here.
What we check.
We gotta get it on there. Hold on, it's coming.
White women. Will this continue?
As long as I can keep it up.
You think they call it the White House?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. This is going to be one of the best weeks of Michelle Obama's life. She's finally getting the thing she craves the very most. Everyone is paying attention to her.
There are a lot of people here of all ages who are trapped by their phones. And when you talk about us being disconnected and not talking to each other, I am not out in the world like a normal person anymore. But when I am, people don't even recognize me. You know why? Because they're on their phones.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine Michelle Obama, super rich, privileged lady who's a professional victim worth hundreds of millions of dollars, who hasn't provided any value or service to the American economy at all other than sitting there and complaining all day about how horrible we are. She's upset that we don't pay enough attention to her. So why don't we give Michelle Obama the thing that she always wants, the thing that she's wanted her entire life, for all of us to stare at her and to look at her and to pay attention to her. Let's start with Michelle Obama being compared to the new predator creature from Disney. I don't know if Disney did this on purpose. Pretty mean, Disney, if you did that. Based Disney. Maybe they are turning a corner. I don't know. But everybody's saying, oh yeah, girl boss predator. We need this in the franchise. Wonderful. Way to go, Disney. Michelle Obama. Every person on the internet said, this is Big Mike.
Yeah.
This is Michelle. So this is Michelle.
What the fuck did he say?
This was Michelle Obama. Is this the attention that you wanted, Michelle Obama? Was this it? Just loving the new Michelle Obama podcast. I just love the new Michelle Obama podcast. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and check in on the new Michelle Obama podcast because, boy, it is trending again today. Michelle Obama getting all that attention she so desperately craves because she says she's a black man.
There you go.
Okay, let me read you the quote. Michelle Obama, you're raising a trans kid. That warms my heart as a black man. Did Michelle Obama just admit that she's actually Big Mike? You're raising a trans kid, warms my heart as a black man. Now, she's talking to Marlon Wayans here. So, maybe she's talking to him. Let me play the clip, and then we'll go through the breakdown here. It is a strange way to say this.
Talk, Marlon, a bit about, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a black man. that journey of.
Well, I learned.
So she did say that. The quote is technically accurate. What's going to be argued here is that maybe she's referring to Marlon Wayans there. But like a strange thing this is not like this is a live podcast. It's a strange thing to leave in the podcast. Like, you didn't just edit that out? I guess nobody's listening, not even the producers. Michelle Obama's YouTube channel completely crashing and burning. Photos of like me pushing my kids on a swing on a Sunday morning get more engagement than Michelle Obama's entire podcast with D and C list celebrities. Michelle Obama, you're being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender. That warms my heart as a black man. It's just a strange way to phrase that. What do you think? What do you think, chat? Fight it out in the chat, please. Is this a major admission? Holy S, did she just slip up? Michelle Obama
Finally.
probably knows the meme, right? Everybody who's watched Michelle Obama dance on the Ellen show knows there's something crazy going on down there. Okay. I'm just so proud of you being raising a transgender child. That warms my heart, particularly as a black man. It's an accurate quote. I mean, it is a quote, and it's true. Is this just like feeding red meat into the right-wing ecosystem so that we all post the podcast? Go listen. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out. Michelle Obama getting the attention that she craves. So proud. As a black man? I mean, the argument here is that maybe Michelle Obama is referring to Marlon Wayans as a black man.
Yeah.
That he's raising a transgender child. Either way, odd way to say it. Strange words. Let's go ahead and check in on the Obama family here. Malik Obama. It's Barack Obama's cousin, right? Says, black man Michelle or black man person being interviewed. So the Obama family sounding out, sounding off, asking questions that we all deserve to know. I find it particularly amazing that the last year has really been like the year of the insufferable girl boss narcissist implosion. Whether it's Beyonce being incapable of selling tickets to her concert, if you can really call it that. Are there empty seats at the Beyonce concert? We want to know. Yes, look at this. We should look at that. What a total crash out. And this is like during the concert. You see here. During the concert. Massive empty seats. The Kamala Harris curse, man. The backfire. Whether it's Katy Perry being utterly humiliated and roasted. These like attention-seeking black hole narcissists are just completely getting destroyed. They're getting atomized. They're having their lives ruined. They're getting, I guess, everything that they want. They're getting the attention that they so desperately crave. But it's not. It's not the attention that they want. Rachel Ziegler is another great example of this. This like insufferable feminist girl boss arrogance is crashing out extremely hard. Now, speaking of girl boss arrogance, Michelle Obama, who famously at the DNC said that she is suspicious of anybody who takes too much.
That anyone can succeed if given the opportunity. She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
Really? Well, Michelle Obama, do you take more than you needed? Here's a photo of your house. Michelle Obama is famously on camera talking about how Donald Trump's deportations keep her up at night. She's never once offered to house criminal aliens at her house. Look at this place. Nothing. This is Michelle Obama's palatial 20,000 square foot, 30-acre mansion in the private islands of Martha's Vineyard. In fact, when there were criminal aliens in Martha's Vineyard, Ron DeSantis sent 50 Venezuelans to Martha's Vineyard, not 20 million criminal aliens, as Joe Biden has shoved into the country, but 50. Michelle Obama and her kind called the National Guard to deport them. Amazing that. Are you enjoying the attention you're getting, Michelle Obama? Michelle Obama talking about how the deportations keep her up at night. Is Michelle Obama familiar with somebody named Barack Obama who deported 5.3 million people while he was president inside of the White House? Nothing? No? Okay. I found it particularly remarkable this moment because people are really finished with celebrity culture. They're really finished with elites telling us how to live and lecturing and sneering at us from their high towers. Oh, I just got to do this just one more time. This is Barack Obama's mansion on the other ocean, on the Pacific side. Here, this is Hawaii, his massive Hawaiian mansion. Look, they have two mansions. One is being shared by the Nesbitt family. This was built on an ancient sacred turtle breeding ground. They decimated it so that they could have a new palace. They decimated the indigenous people's turtle breeding ground so they could build themselves palaces. Okay, don't look too much into the relationship between the Obamas and the Nesbitts. You'll find some very interesting things there. Take a peek inside of Obama's new island dream house. A dream for Obama, I guess, not for the rest of us. As you desecrate a beach and carve it up just for yourself. Oh, wow, look at that. Not a single criminal alien sight. But I thought Michelle Obama was up late at night thinking about it. Think about all the tents you could put here.
They love them.
In your Hawaiian home. And, property in Hawaii, really, really, really expensive. You would really do some help here. Nothing? You never opened up your house once? Oh, okay, got it. No, they're sick of the fake virtue signaling. They're sick of it. So whatever you think of Michelle Obama, talking about my heart as a black man, the truth is that the heart of the American people are completely sickened by this type of insufferable femboss narcissism and arrogance. Shut up, accept that you won the lottery in life. You never had to provide or work or do anything for anyone else. You're a self-serving, complete and total privilege queen. And you should just shut your mouth, right? Like, you just shut up and accept that golden ticket, okay?
That's right.
And stop mewling and lecturing, to moralizing to the rest of us. We're sick of virtue signaling from people with clearly no virtue. It's your boy Betty. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.
Yeah, there's... There you go. I'm gonna... We let Tark see that. We want the let Tark. That's what I think we just.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. These bastards cannot keep getting away with it. Jeffrey Epstein's most famous sex-trafficked victim, somebody who was trafficked to the royal family, someone who said on the record that celebrities from Hollywood, the music industry, the recording industry, she can testify about American politicians and global leaders. Because she was one of the first and main sexual abuse and trafficking victims of Jeffrey Epstein, is dead by suicide. Her name is Virginia Giuffre. She's one of Jeffrey Epstein's most prominent abuse survivors, and she's allegedly died by her own hand.
Yeah, that's...
These bastards. Other Epstein's victims credited Giuffre with giving them the courage to speak out. Let's read. Virginia Giuffre, one of the most prominent survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse, has died by suicide, her family said Friday. Really? Giuffre, 41, died in Australia, where she had been living for several years. Giuffre was one of the earliest and loudest voices calling for criminal charges against Epstein and his enablers. Other Epstein abuse survivors later credited her with giving them the courage to speak out. She also provided critical information to law enforcement that contributed to the investigation and later conviction of Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as other investigations in U.S. Attorney in Southern District of New York. It is with utter broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia, her family said. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Virginia was a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse, sex trafficking. Abuse is so heavy that it became unbearable for her to handle the weight. Huh? Raised in Florida, Guthrie had a troubled childhood. She was abused by a family friend, triggering a downward spiral. She was attempting to rebuild her life when she met Maxwell, and then Maxwell brought her into the Epstein circle. And here she is with Prince Andrew, this famous photo taken, as she describes in detail in multiple interviews what happened next as she was trafficked to Prince Andrew. Epstein, the wealthy financier, died by suicide as well in a New York jail. Of course, he didn't. He was killed. Maxwell, a former British socialite, was found guilty on 5 counts of sex trafficking in 2021. She's locked up in a very low security luxury penitentiary, effectively, for the Fed. Guthrie filed a federal lawsuit against Prince Andrew, alleging that he sexually abused her when she was 17. Andrew stepped back from his duties as a royal family, swirled around him, and the case, undisclosed, he settled for an undisclosed amount. It was in the tens of millions of pounds. He has denied ever having sex with her. It's a lie. This is horrifying news. We need more details about this. She lived on a remote farm. None of this article just mentioned that she just had a random, horrifying accident where she was in the hospital on life support. Nothing. Does it mention that she says, "I'm not suicidal"? This is not long ago. I'm not suicidal. Virginia Roberts, she changed her last name to her surname, but she went by Virginia Roberts for years, posts chilling message saying, "If something happens to me, do not let this go. Evil people want me quiet," in the wake of Prince Andrew's scandal and Jeffrey Epstein's death. Look at this. Virginia Guthrie. I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known for my therapist. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away. Help to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. That is because she has said multiple times on the record
I'm not suicidal.
that she was witness to everything.
She said it.
She might be, like, once they got rid of the evidence inside of the FBI and inside of the Fed, then they need to get rid of the human evidence, the humans who witnessed all of this. Dramatic update emerges from hospital. Jeffrey Epstein victim. She has only 4 days to live. Look at this. This was her just, what was the publishing date here? This was 1 week ago. 2 weeks ago. April 7th. Here she is in the hospital. She was hit on a random road by a massive bus. The bus refused to stop.
Yeah.
She was taken to the hospital. She was living in Australia. How would you even commit suicide here? So apparently out of this farm, some like outback farm, she committed suicide. This is insane. She said specifically that she was an eyewitness to Bill Clinton's crimes. Is this them finally tying up all loose ends? I'm going to need to hear more here. Here's a couple of things that I know. That in the famous leaked tape from Project Veritas, this was Virginia Roberts, who was speaking to the frustrated ABC news anchor about everything that she had. Listen.
The story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We did not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was I tried for 3 years to get it on to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these.
She had Clinton. She had photos. She had pictures. She had everything. Says Amy Rohrbach here, before getting fired.
They're thinking they're harder now.
Government officials, politicians, royalty. They were taping everybody. Everything was being filmed. I've seen the films, she says. I mean, you're talking about a living witness to all of this. They're trying to shut down everything they possibly can about Jeffrey Epstein. You're talking about a living witness. Here was the living witness.
Say that she has videos, or she has knowledge of videos that exist about people. People like who? People well-known names?
Very well-known names. The government officials, the politicians, the royalty. They were taping everybody, every moment.
They were taping everybody at every moment. She worked for Jeffrey Epstein for 10 years. 10 years. Dead by suicide. Just like Epstein. Incredible. I mean, it's like the evil and the shamelessness of these people. I need to hear more about this. This is Virginia's story. May she rest in peace.
I'm in London. I was so young. Keelan woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey, and Ghislaine said he's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
Well, they say, dead men tell no tales. And now the tale of Virginia Giuffre, is ended tragically. Also, of course, you can't charge crimes if there are no more victims.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening here? I need to hear more.
Yeah.
I need to hear more. The family just saying it's a tragedy. She's saying she's not suicidal. And then just 2 weeks ago, there was what seems like a targeting of her to kill her here in a traffic accident. What the hell's going on here?
I wish that she would have recorded.
We'll keep asking questions. All the more reason to release every single file, tape, picture, piece of evidence that the federal government has ever had on Jeffrey Epstein. And do it now.
That's what I would have done.
Pray for Virginia's family. Goodness.
That's pretty sad.
See ya.
Yeah, that very thing.
Culture evolves at the speed of light, just like your financial needs. When it comes to your money, Credit Karma keeps you in the know and ahead of the game. You can count on Credit Karma.
This is all the lines of everything.
Nice night to catch some illegal immigrants, ain't that right, JD?
Yeah.
The radio says a group of illegal.
Let's see. There was one that I wanted to listen to. Let's see the cabin one. That's what I say. What is the lifters? I don't look now. Hey, lifters. Play attention. Okay. Wait till it plays now. Come on. Should take that long to play.
For the weekend, or actually late last week, and we went to the Eisenhower Executive Office building at the Indian Treaty Peace Room there. and we interviewed a number of White House officials. We're going to air that tonight at 7 o'clock as part of that 100 days of success that we're seeing here in our country. So that's tonight at 7. You're going to see the cabinet meeting here in a little bit, about 18 minutes from now. Also, we'll have the 3 o'clock broadcast as President Trump will be talking about investment in America. So he'll be speaking around 4 o'clock. We'll start a broadcast around 3, just in case there's any early speech. But also, let's go to a number of sponsors before we move on with a few more great moments from yesterday's speech there in Warren, Michigan. Let's go to freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. You see that website right there on your screen. Mike Huckabee, of course, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, he and his staff writing a number of books. If you go to freetrumpbook.com, you're going to see a number of titles there. So go ahead and check all that out if you'd like. freetrumpbook.com at 10:43 Eastern Time, Wednesday, April 30th. What we're going to do is after these sound bites we're about to play, we'll go to a commercial break and we'll have a few more sponsors for you to share with you, because at the end of the day, without the sponsorships, without these great patriotic companies, and without your donations, it'll be very difficult for us to expand and cover what we're covering today. It definitely, the feed to the White House there is not something that is free, but it's great that you're with us watching, and it's awesome to see from the beginning to the end of everything. It's just great because it's not dipping in and out of coverage. It's not pulling away from anything. It's showing the entirety of it. And also with the commentary and analysis. And yesterday you thought about all of the people that were outside the venue in Michigan that Robert McNeely and Megan Kohler were speaking to, and hearing what they are happy about with President Trump. So it's just great to see all of that truth, all of that, the real deal stuff. And I was thinking about Stephen Miller, President Trump, Carolyn Levitt, and others. And the reason why I think that a lot of people, most of the country, voted for President Trump, there's so many reasons. We don't have to go through all of them. I mean, there's so many reasons why President Trump is better in office than anybody else. But the point is because they tell it like it is. They tell it like it is, and it's common sense. It matches with what we resonate with, the truth and common sense. And that is such a huge part of the victory of President Trump, because he is that outsider guy. From Stephen here in a little bit, because yesterday's mini speech that he had a chance to go up on stage was quite awesome. Before we go to Warren, Michigan once again, let's play 3 sound bites in a row from President Trump about the many accomplishments of his first 100 days. Take a look.
Oh, we got commercial lifters.
Are you really going to miss this?
We do this training once a year. There's 800,000 to 1 million people that will join us, and it's an opportunity for
100 days. Take a look.
This is the best, they say, 100-day start of any president in history, and everyone is saying it. We've just gotten started. You haven't even seen anything yet. It's all just kicking in. And week by week, we're ending illegal immigration. We're taking back our jobs and protecting our great American auto workers and all of our workers, frankly. We're protecting. After years of leaders who sent your money to defend the borders of distant foreign nations, that's what we did. We'd fight for other nations, but not for ourselves. You finally have a president who is defending our borders and our nation. After decades of politicians who destroyed Detroit to build up Beijing, you finally have a champion for workers in the White House. And instead of putting China first, I'm putting Michigan first, and I'm putting America first. After a lifetime of unelected bureaucrats stealing your paychecks, attacking your values, and trampling your freedoms, we are stopping their gravy train, ending their power trip, and telling thousands of corrupt, incompetent, and unnecessary deep state bureaucrats, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. Get out of here. And also, we cannot allow a handful of communist, radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the President to keep our country safe, and it's not a good thing. But I hope, for the sake of our country, that the Supreme Court is going to save this, because we have to do something. These people are just looking to destroy our country. Nothing will stop me in the mission to keep America safe again. It's very simple. Keep America safe.
So a few clips from yesterday's great speech. If you missed any of the speech from Warren, Michigan, of course, you can go on Rumble or YouTube, wherever you watch, and check out yesterday's full replay. If you'd like to watch the live replay, you'll be able to see our patriots, we the people outside, who are interviewing them and sharing some great commentary for just an awesome day of coverage yesterday. I saw some of the live pictures there of Air Force One as President Trump was taking off from Joint Base Andrews on the way to Michigan while we were live in the arena. Just a lot of great coverage on Right Side Broadcasting Network yesterday. So let's go to one of our sponsors before we go to our next soundbite from yesterday. All Family Pharmacy. You can see get ivermectin and other essential medications right there by going to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Imagine reading or needing a medication and being told you can't have it, not because it's out of stock, but because someone decided you shouldn't access it. Well, it's already happened, and it can happen again. So when others make that decision, you can always go to this decision right here, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. If you need ivermectin, you can get it right there. And you get 10% off. Use that RSBN code, RSBN10. I also have ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and others as well. So just in case, that kind of thing. But ivermectin, always good to have, and you can get it right there with other essential medications at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. All right, so President Trump also called up some great patriots yesterday on the stage. Some great shout-outs to people that are within the White House, from Margot Martin Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy. If you don't know yet who Stephen Miller is, you will soon, because he has been doing such an awesome job since day one with President Trump back in the first administration. He's someone that is rising in the conservative mindset of someone that just tells it like it is. In my opinion, Stephen Miller, just like President Trump, is a national treasure. Not kidding. Really doing things for our country, coming against the fake news only like Stephen Miller can.
Wait, if you were a patient at any Illinois behavioral health facility, including Timberline Knolls, Hart Grove Hospital, or any...
It's the fake news only like Stephen Miller can. Take a look.
There is nobody smarter or tougher than Stephen Miller. Stephen, say it. Who's enjoying 100 golden days of America? President Trump has achieved the most secure border in American history. He's fighting violent crime. He's fighting the drug cartels. He's cutting your taxes. He's cutting wasteful spending. He's draining the swamp. He's standing up to the radical left. He's standing up to the communists, and he's making America stronger than it's ever been. President Trump will never stop fighting for you, your children, and your family, and President Trump will make sure that in this country, but American citizens come first, last, and always. Thank you. And thank you, President Trump, for being the greatest president in American history.
If I had a microphone right now, I would just say mic drop. Holy smokes. This guy, I've followed him on Truth Social for quite some time now. But I never got a chance to read a post that he did. You know how sometimes you miss a post here and there? Well, I looked at the one from 100 some odd days ago when President Trump won. I'm going to read it one more time. I read it earlier this week, but I'm going to read it again because it's so on point from Stephen Miller. All right, here we go. The electoral landslide achieved by President Trump is not only the single greatest win in American political history, but in the modern history of civilization. Nothing else even comes close, Stephen says here. This is unparalleled, unmatched, and unrivaled. He defeated the Bush dynasty, the Clinton dynasty, Cheney dynasty, Obama, Biden, and the entire corrupt machine behind Kamala Harris. He defeated every sinister Marxist prosecutor, every vile hoax, every DOJ witch hunt, every communist persecution, every illegal act of censorship and surveillance, and the ruthlessly politicized and weaponized justice system. He defeated the corrupt legacy media, the political class, the donor class, the pundit class. This is from Stephen Miller some 100 days ago on Truth Social about President Trump's win. He defeated not one but two Democrat nominees, Biden and Harris, and their rigged primary. He defeated the corrupt Democrat Congress. He defied death itself and survived multiple assassination attempts. Trump did the biggest victory ever seen. No comparison. And that's the post from Stephen Miller some 100 days ago. That's the guy you just saw on stage. That's the guy that goes out there outside of the White House, and when a reporter asks a stupid question, a false narrative, ridiculous fake news, trying to control the mind of the country's question, Stephen Miller shows him what's up. And so did President Trump just yesterday. Gotta take a look. Quite awesome to see the president just school a reporter right there on the spot. Speaking of doing that, Carolyn Levitt, an absolute rock star for this country, stepped up into this position and now is a face of the White House, just like, of course, President Trump is. But this team is doing awesome. Speaking of the team doing awesome, let's go to the Department of Homeland Security. Kristi Noem put out a video, the DHS did, of their 100 days of success. They put this out on X just recently. I believe we have it ready to go. Let's go to the DHS video with Kristi Noem and their highlights of what the Department of Homeland Security has done over the past 100 days. Take a look.
Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. If you are here illegally, you're next. President Trump has a clear message for those. If you don't, we will find you and we will deport you. You will never return.
And blur all the photos because why, right? That's what they did the other day. But really, who cares about what they do anymore? Because nobody's really watching, clicking on, listening to any of that big media conglomerate over there, because we know what resonates with the American people. It's called truth and common sense. So that's why we play a video like that. You're not going to see a video like that on the mainstream media. You're not going to see the pictures of the criminal illegal aliens on there. It's going to be censored if they would even show some of it. They're just trying to censor everything. It's kind of like almost when a dam breaks. Like they're trying to hold everything up, and hopefully the water doesn't come through. It's already destroyed. The media on the other side's gone. Yeah. They are. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on the positive side of things and know that we're going to have a live picture there and a live video from the cabinet room at the White House as President Trump and the team are going to be holding a cabinet meeting. We'll go to that live as soon as it starts. It is slated for 11 a.m., so that is about 4 minutes away from the top of the hour, as you can see on the bottom right of your screen. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in with us. How about you? I'm in Warren, Michigan, with Robert McNeely and Megan Kohler there live outside the venue, inside the venue, and interviewing some great patriots outside, and then seeing all of the people inside that arena and all of the cheering going on for the president. And if you saw some of the new signs and a different kind of look there, it was interesting because obviously we covered so many rallies over the years, and including the past campaign season. But it was great to see some of the signs saying "Making America Great Again," or "The Golden Age," or "Jobs, Jobs, Jobs," or "Hire American." and the color scheme, everything just looked sharp yesterday. It's because we have someone that cares about everything when it comes to our country. That's why the White House is going to have 2 American flags at 100 foot up in the air, 100-foot poles on both sides, coming up, I believe, within the week. Excuse me. So that's going to look awesome to see Old Glory flying times 2 on each side there. Obviously, there is a flag on top of the White House, so it's great to see that as well. The red, white, and blue, and we love our flag. We love our nation. And at the end of the day, we put our heart on our sleeve sometimes, because why not talk like that? Because at the end of the day, we're just really happy about what's happening in this country. And we know that people that are in other countries that watch, the media here in America, or watch what President Trump's doing, we're talking Europe, South America, Asia, all over the place, Africa. These places would love to have freedom like we have it, even though we almost were going down the wrong path under the other people that were running in 24. But thanks be to God, we're on the right side of history. Let's just pray it keeps on happening and we keep working hard and having justice be served as well. All right, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. The Percale bed sheets closeout sale, all colors, all sizes, $25 right there. Use the promo code RSBN. When you help out Mike Lindell, you're helping out RSBN as well. So it's a win-win, and also, actually, it's a trifecta of wins, because it's a win for Mike, it's a win for RSBN, it's a win for you because the products are actually that good. I know my wife and I, we have a number of them. Our families do. I know a lot of you guys have MyPillow products. There's so many great ones, including the Percale bed sheets right there. The closeout sale, $25 a pop. Promo code RSBN, you see it right there. You could save up to a pretty sizable percentage as well on mypillow.com using that RSBN promo code. So it is 10:59. We are about the 1 minute away, top of the hour, getting ready for that cabinet meeting. It's slated for 11. It's sometimes, of course, a few minutes late here and there. That's okay. We can tell you about a few more programming schedule options that you have a little bit later today. At 3 o'clock, right here on Right Side, we'll have a pre-show for President Trump's speech in Cross Hall, which I believe is in the White House. I've never heard of Cross Hall, to be honest with you, but that's what it said on the public schedule for the president today. He's going to be speaking about American investments. We'll be hearing from the president twice. Meeting, which is happening at any minute, and then the second time will be around 4 o'clock Eastern, right here on Right Side, live with President Trump. And then tonight at 7 o'clock, 100 Days of Success special report for you. It was quite awesome to have a stand-up, we call it stand-ups, right, in journalism, outside of the White House. You see a lot of the mainstream news, you see some conservative media as well. You'll see some of that tonight, right here at 7 o'clock, a special report. You can also replay all of the coverage as well if you'd like. So maybe save the link and watch it later. Maybe copy and paste it into your calendar. That's what I do when I want to see a link. But anyway, all right, so upcoming programming schedule, though, as it is the top of the hour here. Thanks again for streaming in. We're about to go to that cabinet meeting as soon as we see a feed. Our producers, director, our staff here have their eyes on various, camera feeds, and they'll be going to that as soon as they see it and as soon as we see it. The upcoming programming schedule, again, tomorrow, Thursday, May 1st, President Trump will deliver a commencement address at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And then looking ahead onto May 13th through the 16th, President Trump will travel to 3 countries in the Middle East, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. So the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, that's May 13th through the 16th. We do have the live feeds and recorded feeds from that trip when it happens. We'll have that here on the network, including, throughout this week, next week, and on as we cover White House press briefings or press briefings at the State Department, the Pentagon, or if the president's traveling outside of the Beltway there. We have you covered here. And also when there's America First News, any breaking news, I'm sure some video from social media and other areas as we cover a lot of different aspects of Washington, D.C., the White House, the executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, of course. But most importantly, out of all of that, we the people. As long as we continue to have this this media, this way of connecting with you, whether it's streaming, whether it's cable, whether it's on some other Samsung Plus, whatever it is, you'll be able to get us, because obviously we're on Truth Social, X, Facebook, Getter, Rumble, of course. Shout out to those of you watching on a great Rumble live streaming site. Those of you watching on YouTube and other places, it's wonderful to be able to have those different social platforms to connect with you, the viewer. Go ahead and give a shout out for those of you that are watching right now on Rumble and YouTube. Maybe what state you're watching from. It's always fun to see what states, and if those of you that are watching, you go ahead and check out the comment section, because you're about to see states from all across the union. And for those of you that are watching from out of the United States, there are people that watch in England. I've seen Australia. I've seen El Salvador. I've seen a lot of different countries as well. Go ahead and just say where you're watching from this morning as we get ready to go to Washington, D.C. for this cabinet meeting with President Trump and the all-star cast of patriots who are the cabinet picks that he picked, and obviously were nominated and are in the right positions doing the great things for our country. There is a video out there from RFK Jr. and Brooke Rollins talking about making America healthy again. So what I'm going to do is we're going to throw to a couple sound bites from last night's speech with President Trump from Warren, Michigan. As I send that video to the crew right here on the fly, I just thought about it. So why don't we go to Warren, Michigan just yesterday and listen to a couple of these great sound bites from the Commander-in-Chief himself.
This is the best, they say, 100-day start of any president in history, and everyone is saying it. We've just gotten started. You haven't even seen anything yet. It's all just kicking in. And week by week, we're ending illegal immigration. We're taking back our jobs and protecting our great American auto workers and all of our workers, frankly. We're protecting. After years of leaders who sent your money to defend the borders of distant foreign nations, that's what we did. We'd fight for other nations, but not for ourselves. You finally have a president who is defending our borders and our nation. After decades of politicians who destroyed Detroit to build up Beijing, you finally have a champion for workers in the White House, and instead of putting China first, I'm putting Michigan first, and I'm putting America first. After a lifetime of unelected bureaucrats stealing your paychecks, attacking your values, and trampling your freedoms, we are stopping their gravy train, ending their power trip, and telling thousands of corrupt, incompetent, and unnecessary deep state bureaucrats, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. Get out of here. And also, we cannot allow a handful of communist radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the President to keep our country safe, and it's not a good thing. But I hope, for the sake of our country, that the Supreme Court is going to save this, because we have to do something. These people are just looking to destroy our country. Nothing will stop me in the mission to keep America safe again. It's very simple. Keep America safe.
All right, so that was from yesterday, of course. And then we're going to go to Stephen Miller once again. For those of you just joining us, second, we also are getting ready to show you this RFK Jr. Brooke Rollins soundbite from just recently on X, talking about farming, talking about making America healthy again. And the Noam video from the Department of Homeland Security, as we're seeing this cabinet meeting coming up here in any minute. So I just want to keep you informed on what we're seeing out there. I know a lot of you can check it out for yourselves as well, but still, at the end of the day, having the live feeds of this cabinet meeting and some of the commentary and videos, we'd love to bring that to you. right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so let's go to the Stephen Miller soundbite from just yesterday, and then we'll be showing you some new video coming up in just a second.
There is nobody smarter or tougher than Stephen Miller. Stephen, say it.
Who's enjoying 100 golden days of America? President Trump has achieved the most secure border in American history. He's fighting violent crime. He's fighting the drug cartels. He's cutting your taxes. He's cutting wasteful spending. He's draining the swamp. He's standing up to the radical left. He's standing up to the communists, and he's making America stronger than it's ever been. President Trump will never stop fighting for you, your children, and your family, and President Trump will make sure that in this country, not illegal aliens, not criminals, not gangbangers, but American citizens come first, last, and always. Thank you. And thank you, President Trump, for being the greatest president in American history.
So for those of you just joining us, of course, Stephen Miller on stage there with President Trump just yesterday as we await, as you see there, President Trump to hold a cabinet meeting. As soon as we get that live feed, we'll take you there to the cabinet room for its entirety. The thing I like about today's cabinet meeting already is we're hearing that this is going to be much more of a thorough access point for us here in the media as well, because we're going to hear more from the actual meeting. This won't be just a Q&A between the president and the reporters. Karen Levitt said this is an open press event the other day at the White House press briefing. So this is going to be an open press event. So we may be hearing, I believe, 99.9% sure that we're going to hear a lot from the cabinet leaders. And as soon as we get that, we'll go there live. We're going to show you two more videos in the meantime. Let's go to the Department of Homeland Security. Kristi Noem just posted this video on X recently about illegal criminal aliens. Take a look.
Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. If you are here illegally, you're next. President Trump has a clear message for those that are in our country illegally. Leave now. If you don't, we will find you and we will deport you. You will never return.
Great video there by the Department of Homeland Security. Common sense, getting the job done for our country, for safety, for law and order. Simple stuff, but great stuff. Also, speaking of making America better, making America healthy again, RFK Jr., of course, the Secretary of the Health and Human Services Department, and then Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of the United States Agriculture Department. They actually also have a video that they just released. Let's go to that right now.
I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. We're here in Hillsborough, Texas, the Swear Farm. And I'm here with my colleague, my partner, my friend, Brooke Rollins, who's the Secretary of Agriculture. We've been working together very, very closely from day one of our appointments because we recognize if we're going to make America healthy again, we have to have a partner with agriculture in this country. We cannot produce food for our country, high quality food. I'm making sure that our farms are sustainable and at the quality and nutrition that's coming out of these farms in our country. And Brooke has been an incredible partner, and I'm very grateful for your commitment to a healthy America.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And listen, we have had a great day in Texas. I think our partnership is unprecedented. I don't know that ever before in any administration, Republican or Democrat, that the Health Secretary and the Agriculture Secretary have really gone hand in glove together. But President Trump has given us a mandate, and that is to make America healthy again. You can't make America great again without making sure that we're driving toward better health outcomes. And the secret maybe the non-secret, but the most important driver of that is agriculture and nutritious, safe, secure food. And then the next step, of course, food security is national security. So being here in a great family farm in Texas was a real honor to have you in Texas, Bobby, to work alongside these incredible farmers all day, every day, to ensure that they have a path forward of prosperity and real success as we again work toward these mutual goals.
A shout out to all of our American farmers out there. I've been to Iowa, of course, covering the president for the primary, New Hampshire, all over the place, California. You know, I've traveled the country just like many of you have, and the amount of farmland out there. How about in Iowa alone? But thank God for our American farmers. Thank God for RFK Jr., Brooke Rollins, people that are getting the job done and getting it done right. Thank God for President Trump, also a big supporter of our farmers. The farmers love President Trump, as do, who else? Law enforcement, we the people, the majority of the country, the majority of the free world, the majority of leaders out there that are on the side of the right side of history. So anyway, great to see that video. We will be going to that cabinet meeting here in just a bit. We're going to go to our Trump on Truth segment in just a second as well. Before we do, let's go to Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguide.com/RSBN, sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you're looking to save and figure out, hey, you know what, the U.S. dollar might be a little bit shaky, let's put some of it into gold and silver. You can do that right here with Colonial Metals Group. This is as Maganomics, even as the dollar can increase in value, of course. Still always good to have gold and silver as a backup plan for you. And specifically, I want to share some more details with you that, China is now dumping some U.S. bonds, grabbing prime American farmland and rolling out its new digital currency. So doom talk is not fun at all. We don't like it, but it's part of what's going on here. But it's pretty clear that communist China is plotting a financial Pearl Harbor that could pull the plug on the dollar. So it might devastate your IRA and 401k and savings. So President Trump, of course, is a genius because he's letting retirement savers like you protect your life savings with gold 100% tax-free. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN, a sponsor here at Right Side Colonial Metals Group. 11:14, Wednesday, April 30th. Fresh off a great speech yesterday in Warren, Michigan. Holy smokes, was that fun. It was great to see Air Force One, great to see the president at the Michigan National Guard. Before we go to President Trump's Truth Social post that he posted from this morning, let's go back to Michigan for this great moment when he was speaking to the National Guard, talking about some new equipment, really focus in here on the reactions. So some of the National Guardsmen were, should we clap, should we cheer? And then they did. Take
FABULOUS every day. Hello, Moto.
Take a look.
As Commander-in-Chief, I'm proud to announce that very soon we will replace the retiring A-10 Warthogs with 21 brand new F-15EX Eagle II fighter jets, the best in the world, fresh off the line. Brand new.
Making America smile again, right there in the military, National Guardsmen, having a great time, happy about these new announcements from the president. Pretty cool stuff. Great moment yesterday at the Michigan National Guard. President Trump on Truth Social this morning, about 2 hours ago, said this is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over until January 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies are starting to move into the U.S.A. in record numbers. Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. This will take a while, has nothing to do with tariffs, only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like no other. Be patient. That from the president. Speaking of a number of things, a number of great things happening. Thursday, so tomorrow, of course, the president will be speaking at the commencement address for the University of Alabama. But tomorrow is also the National Day of Prayer. So we'll have any kind of coverage that comes out when it comes to the public schedule of the president. We'll have that for you as well here. RSBN host Robert McNeely is getting back from Michigan today, so most likely we'll be seeing him here as well in the studio as we continue to cover the White House and what's going on. So as of right now, I believe Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer, who is going to be at the White House tomorrow, will join us live following that event tomorrow. And also Bruce Lavelle, longtime friend and senior advisor of the president from Atlanta, scheduled to join us tomorrow as well. So looking forward to the cabinet meeting today. A lot going on this week. You know, it's interesting, I think, about Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's something that you can really count on us each day to see what's happening out there by simply clicking on a link and seeing what's going on, because that's what we're covering, right, is the White House, is everything inside that beltway in D.C., outside of the beltway. And that beltway, of course, is 395, the interstate there, but also anything that's outside the beltway, like out in the Middle East. President Trump will be traveling there May 13th through the 16th, visiting 3 countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Any other news that happens, we've got you covered here at the network. So glad you're choosing us, glad you're being with us, and you've been with us. Most of you that are loyal viewers since 2015, holy smokes, it's been almost 10 years exactly. That's this summer, Right Side celebrating 10 years in existence, but it's all about the grassroots. It's all about someone named Joe Seals who said, you know what, they're not showing the crowds at these events. That's not smart by the mainstream media. They don't want to show how much support and excitement there is for a candidate. Not cool. And so that's what Joe Seals did back in 2015. Had that, see, that's the thing about it. Common sense. It's a common sense idea, but he took it and ran with it. And look what happened. Now RSBN, you know, Robert McNeely was on Air Force One a few weeks back. Thanks be to God and thanks to RSBN, I had an opportunity to be at the White House, outside of the White House, and at the Eisenhower Executive Office building to interview a few White House officials just right here on Right Side, just to kind of commemorate and celebrate the 100 days of success. But you think about all of these exploits, the shout-outs from President Trump at various social posting the link to watch the rally on RSBN. All of those things that have happened because of a common sense idea from a conservative. You know what? I want the people to see really what's happening out there. And now you fast forward to about 10 years of coverage. It's a lot of coverage, and it's a lot of great events, remarks, speeches. Some very difficult times, of course, that we covered here over the past year with Butler, Pennsylvania, but we are there for you. And it's also awesome, again, if you remember yesterday, I was talking about the amount of people outside the venue of the Michigan rally yesterday, really being about all of us. And I posted a picture on Truth Social at Matthew Alvarez just saying, we the people, with that little American flag emoji that I keep using all the time, but I love it, so I keep using it. But it says, we the people, the American flag emoji. In the screenshot that I took from our network, you'll see RSBN, you'll see the logo on the bottom, you'll see the live bug on the top left. But what you'll see in that is the podium and the presidential seal. President Trump wasn't on the stage at that point, but it was all of we the people. It was just like a huge crowd shot of people holding up signs and getting ready for the president to come out. And that's what this is about. And that's what President Trump, every time he would be on those campaign stages, he would say, when we win the White House, not losing sight of what the Constitution is all about, not losing sight of Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, a government of, by, and for the people, from all of us. And that's what we have in this commander-in-chief. He is one of those we the people. He is one of those great leaders, but also hiring a number of great cabinet leaders as well. So speaking of that, the schedule for the White House came out and said 11 a.m. for the cabinet meeting. So it's 11:21. As soon as we see it, we'll take you there live. In the meantime, let's go to one more post from President Trump. It's about CBS, but let me talk about ABC quickly, because we saw that he just did an interview with Terry Moran of ABC in the Oval Office, right in front of the Resolute desk. And President Trump took him to school. You get a chance to watch any of the clips, go ahead and watch them on Truth, on X, wherever you watch them. And it's comical to see what happened there. but it's also factual because the president's just not going to take on any more crap. Let's be honest, right? He's just not going to take it anymore because he has serious things to take care of in this country. We don't have time for fake news, spin narratives that most of the country doesn't even believe in anyway. Schooling that reporter just yesterday at 11:21 right now, Eastern time, getting ready for that cabinet meeting. We're going to go to a sponsor here in just a second. Let me read that post from President Trump. He said, "The case we have against 60 Minutes, CBS, and Paramount is a true winner. They created and defrauded the American people at levels never seen before in the political arena." Kamala Harris, during early voting and immediately before Election Day, was asked a question and gave an answer that was so bad and incompetent that it would have cost her many of the votes that she ended up getting. It was a disastrous answer. 60 Minutes and its corporate parents, in order that this not have a negative impact on her, removed and deleted Kamala's entire answer, every word of it, and replaced it with a response that she gave later on to an entirely different question. This is from President Trump's Truth Social post. It's a long one. Bear with me on it.
Thank you.
President Trump also said the new answer was not good, but it didn't show gross incompetence like the one that was removed by 60 Minutes. In other words, 60 Minutes perpetrated a giant fraud against the American people, the Federal Elections Commission, and the Federal Communications System. Despite all of the above and Paramount's CBS 60 Minutes admittance to this crime, and with other similar corrupt removals of answers to questions, the failing New York Times, which is fake news both in writing and polling, claims that people said that the case is baseless. People, quote unquote, people. They don't mean that. They just have a non-curable case of Trump derangement syndrome, possibly to the point where the Times interjection makes them liable for torturous interference, including in elections, which from Truth Social this morning. The bottom line is that what 60 Minutes and its corporate owners have committed is one of the most egregious illegalities in broadcasting history. Nothing like this, the illegal creation of an answer for a presidential candidate, has ever been done before. They have to pay a price for it, and the Times should also be on the hook for their likely unlawful behavior. It is vital to hold these liars and fraudsters accountable. Whew. That's the time it would be good to have a teleprompter. But anyway, I just read it directly. First time I read the entire post from President Trump on that. But still, at the end of the day, we see what's happening on the left wing when it comes to mainstream media. The thing that is interesting to me as we await this cabinet meeting is that there's not a lot of people really watching the left-wing media anymore. And so the mainstream media is acting like they've got this, they have this big megaphone, which they do. But I want to see maybe from A.F. Branco, the great conservative cartoonist. I was thinking about maybe a cartoon of showing President Trump standing there on one side with we the people, the majority of the country, and conservative media. And then on the other side, showing the mainstream media and maybe a trickle of a few people, right? A whole mass of people on the right side of history and just a few people that are actually watching the mainstream media on the other side. It's kind of what it's like, that divide, but it's unfortunate. We don't want it divided. We want unity. We want common sense to be the way in this country. And that's why President Trump won in that landslide. That's why a lot of Democrats said, oh, maybe I'm going to vote for Trump this time because I don't want illegal criminal aliens, raiding an apartment complex in Aurora, or I don't want these narcotics to continue to cross the southern border, including fentanyl that kills people. I also want my constitutional rights, that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's 11:25, Wednesday, April 30th. Looking forward to seeing this cabinet meeting. Bear with us here as we know that at 11 a.m. it was scheduled to have it from the president's public schedule. Of course, having a number of cabinet leaders from all parts of Washington gather in one place and get everything organized, get the cameras in there. There's a lot of reasons why things can be delayed, of course, in D.C. But what's not delayed in Washington, D.C. is something called Trump speed. And we've heard it from Carolyn Levitt and others. We're seeing President Trump operate at Trump speed, pedal to the metal. More than 142 executive orders signed in the first 100 days. All executive orders that are right in line with the American people. awesome to see all of that. All right, let's go to one of our sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, All Family Pharmacy. If you're looking for a number of products, medications that you can't usually get from someone else, you can get it with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Ivermectin, other essential medications you can get right there. Use the RSBN 10 promo code for that 10% off. It's awesome that we have a sponsor that's saying, you know what, ivermectin's allowed. Ivermectin, from a number of doctors, said this is the stuff that will not. Very good stuff. Obviously, you got to check it out with your own personal doctor on how you move forward. But go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Check it all out there for you. You'll have to fill out some medical paperwork, that kind of thing. But still, this is the place to go for your essential medications, including ivermectin, right there on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Use the RSBN 10 promo code for that percentage off. About the bottom of the hour here, 11:30, Wednesday, April 30th. Let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short.
You know?
Since 2015, we've
got a sack of fucking balls when it comes up to me. Stop picking on my ears.
MAGA rallies, all right? Bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground.
All right.
We interview the crowd
to
give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship.
You don't fucking harass my damn
ears. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit-Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side.
Who's all here?
And I want you to support.
Let's get it started here.
Right Side
Holy Jericho didn't got up already.
It's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all.
Are you still there, Jamie?
Bye-bye.
Those with Robinhood Gold can enjoy a 3% IRA match. Tremendous.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com.
Did you hear about
use your promo code
She's Michelle Obama is really actually a man?
For a limited time, you get
she thought he actually admitted there to the public people.
Free.
You know, the whole time. I'm not a woman.
Absolutely love it.
No,
and so
she's actually a man.
All right,
She
it's the
said
bottom of
herself.
the hour here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All of this brought to you by a number of other sponsors, including freetrumpbook.com. So Mike Huckabee, of course, as you know, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, also former governor of Arkansas, and has a show in Tennessee, has a lot going on, but he and his staff wrote a number of great books, a lot of great titles there for the youth of America. And not only the youth, I think pretty much anybody, really. It's great to have these kind of books, freetrumpbook.com. Go to that website. You'll be able to check out and peruse all of the different titles, all good stuff right there, freetrumpbook.com. All right, so we are still waiting for that cabinet meeting. So as soon as we see a live feed, we'll take you there live to see President Trump and the all-star cast of cabinet members there doing great things for our country as we have seen time and time again with various
The
posts on
Lithar's
X
trying to
and
come in,
social.
pick on Jamie.
You really see not only words, but you
Jericho.
see actions, right?
You missed
see
it.
all of these different things happening. And even though Doge is not specifically a cabinet position, it's still part of this U.S. government, and Doge to other countries. That's our hard-earned tax dollars going to other things that we did not ever want them to go to. Also, we'll see what happens with the IRS. At the end of the day, we still have to pay our taxes, of course. But will there be an external revenue service, an ERS? Who knows? It's still talk in Washington. We'll see what happens there. We're covering all sorts of stories here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Looking forward to the cabinet meeting. Also, there's a photo out there that I took a screenshot of from the Trump store of a pretty cool new hat that they have on the Trump store. As soon as it's ready to go, we'll talk about it. Yesterday, President Trump held the hat as well on the way to his Michigan trip. We'll talk about that in just a second as well, as we get ready to go to Washington, D.C. on this Wednesday, April 30th. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Yesterday, of course, was awesome. The Warren, Michigan speech there, the rally, just like a rally when it comes to a campaign speech, but it was from the power of the White House, the commander-in-chief there doing awesome things and a great speech, as you guys saw. If you missed it, you can always watch it on replay if you'd like. But let's shift gears and go back to this hat. Gulf of America 25. How cool is that hat right there? I saw it on the Trump store. I would like to get that one. But also, President Trump held a Gulf of America hat just yesterday, a red one with reporters. Just thought I'd show you that. But also, we know that is on the Apple Maps, Google Maps. I know that's older news, but still a lot of merch being sold out there for GOA, Gulf of America 2025. Just thought I'd show it to you. Pretty cool stuff right there. At 11:33 Eastern, Wednesday, April 30th. Again, as soon as we see that live picture, we'll take you there to the cabinet room of the White House, as we're going to hear a lot of different details, whether it's the Department of Defense, the Department of Agriculture, Health and Human Services, Department of Education, even though most of it is going to be going all the way to all of us out here in the States outside of the District of Columbia. So we'll be hearing any updates there. Maybe Elon Musk will be in the room. Who knows? We'll see. Also, the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, also is every cabinet member you could think of going to be there at this meeting. Senator, or I was going to call him Senator Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I'm not specific on everybody's schedule, though. Some may be overseas. You know, we have a lot going on in our country and around the world when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine peace deal. I'm not sure if we still have that photo, but if we do, we can still show it again from the Vatican the other day. President Trump and Vladimir Zelensky speaking together, talking about peace. Hopefully that will come together. We're seeing our government also meet with
where you at, Litars? Wake up!
Things with the Russian leader to get that
only
war to stop.
10:03.
As you know, President Trump continually says, "I would have, if I was president, this war would have never happened." And he's also wanting, of course, the war to stop, the killing to stop. So that from the foreign policy there. President Trump also speaking to a number of other leaders throughout the world to hopefully bring peace to various parts of the world. But of course, America first is always our. That picture there, of course, from over the past weekend at the Vatican, and a lot of people just praising President Trump for having that.
Meet your new main squeeze. We compete heavy sriracha. Here the sweetness you crave. And the sriracha heat.
Having that meeting there with Vladimir Zelensky, you know, Pope Francis and the funeral.
You're gonna bring the hot that, buddy. You gotta wake up.
Having no one else pass away when it comes to this war. So President Trump doing what he does best when it comes to negotiations. He does a lot of great skills, of course. One of them is right there on your screen. And I was talking about it last week a little bit about President Trump and, you know, what he deserves when it comes to what the mainstream media would never bring up. Let's go to President Trump right now at the cabinet meeting in Washington.
Legislation passed in order to create a secure border. You didn't. You just had to have the right president and the right people working it. Congratulations, by the way, and to Tom. For 2 months in a row, we have set the all-time records for the lowest number of illegal border crossings ever recorded. The number of illegal border crossers released into the United States is down 99.999%. That is usually 100%. So I think it's an amazing tribute. And Christy, congratulations, and Tom and everybody else. It's an amazing job, actually. And it was done very quickly. We officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and we're expelling these monsters from our country rapidly and working with the Department of Justice. Pam, you're doing fantastic. Your people are amazing. We're having some judge problems that everybody's reading. We're having some judges. So I don't know what their problem is, but we have little difficulty. We won on the basis of a great border and of getting criminals out of our country. That was why we won every swing state. We won by millions of votes. We won everything, every metric. We won by a lot. It was a massive victory, and we won, I think, largely because of this issue. I put this issue as number one issue. And they don't want us to do what we're supposed to do, and I don't think that can be. I hope the Supreme Court is going to fully understand what's going on. We have to get the criminals out of our country, and that's the basis under which we won the election. Core GDP, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today, and I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is the quarterly numbers, and we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country in so many ways, not only at the border was more obvious, but we took over his mess in so many different ways. Core GDP, removing distortions from imports, inventories, and government spending, was up plus 3% when you add it. We had numbers that despite what we were handed, we turned them around. Investment was a whopping 22%. Now, that is a number that people are coming in at numbers. For instance, I just walked in, I heard Samsung is now, because of the tariffs, they're going to build massive facilities in the United States. If we didn't do the tariffs, they wouldn't be doing that. So it takes a little while to get those facilities built, but they're coming in with big numbers. They're all coming in with big numbers. We have more money being spent than at any time in the history of our country. We're up to close to $8 trillion, I think I can say. And really, it's going to be a lot higher than that. Those are just the ones that we know about. $8 trillion. I'm not going to say, but I'm not sure if Biden did $1 trillion for 4 years, $1 trillion. But we're at $8 trillion for 2 months, because let's give us a pass on the first month. We were sort of getting a little bit used to things, right? But after 2 months, we have $8 trillion. There's never been a number like that. And that includes chip companies, car companies, every form of manufacturing, high-tech companies. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So $8 trillion. I can talk about gross domestic product, gross domestic investment. I can talk about a lot of things. But to me, the biggest numbers are kind of numbers that are, and these people are coming in. Our Secretary of Commerce spent the weekend. He went down to Arizona to see what was happening. Howard, you said you've never seen anything like it. You want to just describe what you saw?
So they're investing $165 in Arizona, and they're building the highest tech chip manufacturing, semiconductors, and 4,000 employees. You know, American tradecraft, right? Technicians doing every kind of work. The classic foundation of America is building it. They have 14,000 people. They're expecting 40,000 people to build the rest of their plants and to employ 20,000 people for the rest of the time. This is all driven.
Don't shower again until you've seen the disgusting truth about your water pipes. This dermatologist from New York just discovered how to transform your skin and hair.
People for the rest of the time. This is all driven.
You never saw a sight like that.
And this is all driven by your tariff policies. No chance this be happening without you.
It's going to be about 40% of the chip market from that one section, and this is the biggest chip maker. They have 99% of the market. They come from Taiwan, and unlike the CHIP Act, which was done by Biden, where they hand everybody billions of dollars, the thing they don't need is money. They got plenty of money. What they need is an incentive to come in, and the tariffs, they're building because of the tariffs. If without the tariffs, I like to say they're building because of November 5th, the election, and the tariffs, but I'm going to be a little more blunt. They're building because of the tariffs, and November 5th gave them the tariffs. So go out and say, well, we're going to build, we have to go get our financing. Let's go. Like we would, in New York, everybody would look, you get for 6 months, you'd get your financing. You'd build your building, the market would be good, you'd make money, the market would be bad, it wouldn't be so pretty, you'd have to negotiate, blah, blah, blah. This is different. These people have so much money, they don't know what to do. They are, I asked Howard, did they finance it? No, they do it through cash, and they say that site, and they just started, they just announced it like a month ago, and they've already started. He said, I've never seen a site like it so big. So, you're talking about essentially a $50 billion building. Now, if you build a warehouse for $50 million, that's a big warehouse, Scott. But a $50 billion building, that's a lot. They're building the electric, they've become a utility. And I'm giving them the right to become. They're going to build their own electric, they're going to build their own electricity, which they need tremendous amounts of electricity. They're going to build it themselves. Anything they have left over, they'll hook that into the grid. But the grid is old and they're unreliable and bad things can happen to grids. I said, if you want, you can hook into the grid, but that's a little bit risky. Or you can build your own electricity and become your own utility. And they, I think in all cases, are deciding to do that. So it's very exciting, and we have a lot of things going. We took over on January 20th. These are quarterly reports. We took over on January 20th. The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. I know that, and I don't want this to happen, but I know that China is doing very poorly right now. I just saw some President Xi. I don't want it to happen. I was actually saddened to hear it, but they're getting absolutely hammered in China. And, they're sending boats, the biggest boats in the world, carrying cargo like nobody's ever seen before. These are the biggest boats in the world, biggest cargo ships in the world. And they're coming and they're turning around in the Pacific Ocean. They're doing a big U-turn and going back because they don't want the goods, because 145% tariff. But at a certain point, I hope we're going to make a deal with China. We're talking to China, but their factories are closing all over China because we're not taking their product. We don't want their product unless they're going to be fair with us. And that includes intellectual property and other things. There are a lot of things far beyond just buy, sell. So we'll see what happens. But, I was not, because somebody said, well, were you happy? I said, I am not happy. I want China to do well. I want every country to do well. But they have to treat us fairly also. So with that, I think we're going to maybe go around, and we have some letters where the secretaries and people around the table are making statements about how they're doing and what's happening. And I could start with Pete on the left because he's my least controversial. I don't know how good he is. So we'll go around the table and you can hear it. And these are cabinet meetings where they're very open and transparent. And I can guarantee you Biden didn't do this. He didn't do this. Go ahead, Pete.
Well, Mr. President, I think we're controversial because we're over the target. And like so many things, Mr. President, you inherited a demoralized military that couldn't recruit, that was perceived as weak after what happened in Afghanistan and elsewhere because of Joe Biden. And what we have seen since your election and the inauguration has been nothing short of a recruiting renaissance. Decades, it hasn't been decades since we've seen this kind of recruiting in the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force. The men and women of America want to join the United States military led by President Donald Trump.
And the police, by the way.
Absolutely.
And fire. I always mention the fire, but the police and fire, likewise they have waiting lists now, and 6 months ago was a disaster.
Truly historic. We can barely absorb the volume and retention as well. Men and women in the military who don't want to get out now that they have a real commander-in-chief. We're reinforcing standards. We're going to be fit not fat in our formations. We welcome back all the COVID, the folks that were forced out.
Urinate excessively.
One.
Feel extreme fatigue or have blurry vision because of type 2. Place fermented ginger under your tongue and
Forced out because of the COVID mandate. Ripped wokeness out of the military, sir. DEI, trans, and it's Fort Benning and Fort Bragg again at the DoD. We're rebuilding the military, sir. The Golden Dome is well underway. F-47, reassuring allies and deterring enemies. We found nearly $6 billion in DOGE savings that we're going to reinvest, including $50 billion from the Biden administration focused on things like climate that have nothing to do with lethality and warfighting. And we will have, as you said, sir, the first $1 trillion budget that we plan to spend wisely on behalf of our warfighters. From day one, sir, we've gotten helped get 100% operational control of the border, coming alongside DHS and CBP. We've got 11,000 troops on the border who now, because of the new national defense area, sir, can help detain illegals at the border and hand them over to CBP. It used to be if you saw camouflage on the border, they could hold binoculars, and that's it. And now we can detain and assist, and we're going to get 100% operational control of that border. Our NATO allies know they have to step up. The Houthis in the Middle East are feeling the weight of American power, and we're deterring communist China. So because of your leadership, sir, I believe we're making the military great again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Howard? So I have the pleasure of running the Investment Accelerator, which gets to recruit these companies. And you've never seen anything like the companies committed to building in America. Technology companies have committed over $2.5 trillion to build in America based on your tariffs, right? Sovereign countries all backing, the whole Middle East and all these countries backing their sovereign wealth funds. They all want to invest in America, and they're coming in, again, over $3 trillion committed. So just those two topics, you're at $5.5 trillion. And then you've got the whole pharma industry knows it's got to come home because America pays for all the drugs of the world. So the pharmaceuticals have to come home, right? Auto's coming home, industrial's coming home. So, we've got to train, and your great Secretary of Labor together and Secretary of Education together, we're going to train the workforce to build America. It's unbelievable. We've got so much, as I travel around, the attention on the Trump Gold Card. I mean, it makes me very popular. Last night, I was out to dinner, and someone came up and said, can I buy 10? And how do I buy 10? And I'm like, it's pretty good. It's $50 million for dinner. So, I was paying for my dinner. The External Revenue Service, right? You've got the tariffs and the hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars coming in to build the External Revenue Service. That our objective, of course, is to replace the Internal Revenue Service and let those outside countries trading with us, let them pay their fair share to America. And then, of course, you got rid of de minimis. And what happened is these foreign countries were sending in little packages for free and knocking out our mom and pop businesses across America. You put an end to it, and you're going to rebuild the mom and pop and the small business of America. You're their president, and I'm proud to support you.
It's very important. De minimis. It's very against our country, against really small businesses, and we put an end to it.
Mr. President, so CAFE standards, we have the fuel economy standards on vehicles that are going to go to 50 miles per gallon. We are going to rewrite those standards, bring it down to something that's far more reasonable. Elon's fine with that, I hope. But it's going to drive down. It's going to drive down the price of a car in America, making cars more affordable for families. Also, Biden had the social cost of credit when we build infrastructure, roads, and bridges, adding 3 to 5% on infrastructure costs. We've gotten rid of the social cost of carbon, driving down the cost to build roads and bridges across the country. We have what is called follow the law. So we have so many states and municipalities that don't follow the law. So whether it's DEI, discriminating against Americans, whether they give illegals driver's license, or their sanctuary cities or states, if you don't follow the law, if you're giving license to illegals, if you're having DEI policies, we're not going to fund your projects. So you got to certify in your state or in your city to get road and bridge money or rail money that you're actually following the law, which includes executive orders from you, Mr. President. We're cutting back funding. We send research money, Mr. President, to universities to do sustainable transportation systems, projects that'll use data and public opinion to inform policy and infrastructure and technology benefiting diverse communities, including women and gender non-conforming people. Just stupid waste of money. We're pulling that money back from universities. We should do good research if we're doing research in universities. And then one last thing, air traffic control. We don't have enough air traffic controllers, about 3,000 short. We're working on an agreement with the union, so when controllers become retirement eligible, we're going to cut a deal to try to get them to stay longer, stay in the tower. And then we have a plan to put more butts in seats.
Were you or a loved one admitted to an Illinois behavioral health facility? A global settlement may be coming in 2025.
Seats in Oklahoma City, so we can get more students through the academy and in the towers as well. It's going to take us a while to do that, to train them up, but we're in the process before our 4 years are done. Well before that, we're going to be at full capacity.
Joe, do you want to tell about, I think we have to bring it up, we have very obsolete equipment for air traffic controllers. The equipment, the towers have horrible equipment. It's been renovated for years. The money they spent over the last 4 years, this Buttigieg did a horrible job. They wasted billions and billions of dollars hooking up wire equipment to non-wire equipment to satellite equipment, and a third grade student would know it doesn't. Billions of dollars. But we want to put a brand new air traffic control system in, and you might want to describe that, please.
Just, you and I have talked about this. It's a state-of-the-art system, envy of the world. And it's, I mean, listen, our system is safe, but you would have hoped someone would have seen that there's a problem with fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters coming in at lives. It's our job to look and see that we have an aging infrastructure around air traffic control. And so if we don't build a brand new system, there's going to be failures and people will lose their lives. And so we need the help of Congress to help fund this, but it's going to be all brand new. And after you build a brand new system, we have the bedrock and the foundation to actually build on top of it. But no one has done this, Mr. President. There's Band-Aid fixes that have happened over the course of 20 years. You can't have a Band-Aid fix. It doesn't get done. It has to be brand new. The technology, it looks like it's out of a 1980s movie. Old computers, floppy disks. We're using copper wires, not fiber. So there are great solutions we have available that, and by the way, if everyone's sick of their delayed flights or their canceled flights, we have more capacity in the airspace. And if we build this brand new system, what you'll have is more efficiency in the airspace, and it will be safer. So the economy will be stronger. We can have more flights and less delays. So I appreciate your support on that, Mr. President.
Rebuilding that is very important. You wouldn't have had the helicopter crashing into the plane at 400 feet up when it's supposed to be 200 feet. That would have bells and whistles would have been gone over, and you would have heard the screaming equipment saying, "There's a problem coming up in 15 seconds. You got to do something about it right now." And it would have also sent the word right into the helicopter, because I guess you'll be doing the full report on that. But it was pretty obvious what happened. Right. And they were supposed to be at 200 feet. They were 400 feet, and a terrible thing. And that wouldn't have happened if we had the right equipment. If we had the right equipment, you would have heard bells and whistles going off, and it would have alerted them long before that would have happened. 2 minutes before, they would have had a lot of time. So we have to do this. We have no choice, and we're going to do it, and we're going to be very proud of it. They did old equipment in new equipment, and you can't hook in old equipment to new equipment because it's different. Some is satellite and some is ground. The satellite doesn't work. This man would know that better than anybody, but you can't hook up a satellite system to a ground wired system. And if you do, you're wasting a lot of money. They spent billions. This is Buttigieg. They spent billions and billions of dollars trying to patch a system together. They had hundreds of different contractors, and the contractors were all fighting with each other. We're going to have one great big contractor, like the Great Big Beautiful Bill, which is going along very well. I guess I like Great Big Beautiful, but we're going to have one Great Big Beautiful contractor, whether it's maybe Raytheon, maybe IBM, maybe it could be any one of 4 or 5 different groups, but you put one in charge. They're very big, very powerful monetarily, and they give you a guarantee. They're responsible for the digging of the ditches and the fiber and every single element, and it's one system that's hooked in. It's not all these hodgepodge systems that don't work together, and it's just a shame. It's basic construction, but it's complex stuff, and there are a few companies that do it unbelievably well, and we're going to have that. So, good job, John. I know that's your big project.
And Mr. President, no one has done it because it is complex. It's hard to do because as you're building a brand new system, you have planes taking off and landing. And so because it's complex, no one has done it, and you've given the directive and the support to make this happen. So
well, ours is going to be an all new system. It's going to all hook up. It's going to be the same tower is going to have the same equipment, and all towers all over the country, all over the world actually, mostly, are going to be hooked in together. And when there's a problem, when planes are too close, you will hear a sound that's very ear-shattering. And I've heard it, and it's amazing. I mean, honestly, it's amazing. It's real genius stuff, and we didn't do that. What we did was just waste money. You could have just thrown it right out the window. What they did in this last 4 years was disgraceful. Whether it was the border or this, you name 100 different things. The worst administration ever. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Secretary?
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you. And I think one of the things that I want people to understand about the VA is we're part of the national security interests you have. With the Secretary of Defense and myself, we take care of veterans on 2 ends. One when they come in and one when they served and they've earned the benefits that we have. And one of the things is if we're not doing our job on our end, then the recruitment and all goes down on the other end because we have a full spectrum. That's what leadership is about. What we found, speaking the last 4 years, is we found an administration that wanted to throw money and people at problems, but they didn't want to put leadership in. They just put money and people at it, and we saw wait times stay the same. We saw issues of suicide rates, death by suicide, not change. We saw a homelessness issue barely go down. We saw disability claims skyrocket. When you took place, over 250,000.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I have a question for you. If you had to make a choice between having massive
rocket when you took place, over 250,000 back dislodge, which are already bringing down almost 40,000 so far just in the last couple of months. But we've also put back what you and I was in Congress when this happened. I was glad to see it. The Mission Act is back front and center at the VA. We're actually doing community care. We're actually giving the veteran the choice that they've earned and they've deserved, whether they can get their VA care inside our facilities or in the community. It's their choice. It's VA care. We're going to give them the highest quality care wherever they want to go. Also, we're expanding out options for treatments and others for those that are in need. We're experimenting and looking at new counseling ideas, on new drug techniques that we can help with PTSD, TBI, the things that are affecting our veterans right now. But also, we've taken the leadership to take people and bring them back into work where they're actually communicating. They're back in our offices. We've put thousands of people back in. We're processing more claims daily than we were in the last little bit. Hit 1 million before has ever happened, and we're actually bringing it down. And I've actually taken our deputy secretary, and he is actually handling a strike force now to bring down that disability claim, plus our regular work that we're having done. We've also taken almost 300 plus million. We were doing contracts for meeting notes and PowerPoints. And if our folks didn't know how to do meeting notes and PowerPoints, go online and learn yourself. We're not going to pay for it anymore. And we took $360 million system that we have. We've opened 6 new facilities just in the last little bit for all the media who wants to talk about how we're hurting healthcare. We just opened 6 new facilities. By the way, thank you. You're welcome. As we go from that we've continued. We've also took $11.6 billion in ceiling values of contracts and terminated that we did not need, resulting in significant cost avoidance for the future, but also still maintaining the ability to take care of our patients and also our disability benefits. We've also gotten unity again. We did away with $14 million in DEI spending. We've ended gender dysphoria treatments. We phased that out. All directed the savings from that go to paralyzed veterans and amputees. We've also continued to work toward, as you've in anti-Semitism and also anti-Christian bias that we saw. The biggest thing, though, Mr. President, I wanted to state is you told me when you said for me to take this job, you said take care of my veterans. Well, we've done something in taking that step forward. The veteran is back first at the VA. The VA is not about itself anymore. We're not a self-feeding animal. It's about a service organization that takes care of one of the best that we have, and that's our veterans. And that one, Mr. President, we're just getting started.
Thank you, Doug. How are you doing with the suicide rates?
We're getting, it's tough, Mr. President. That's something that we're looking at. This is something that we've had $588 million that's been spent over the last 4 or 5 years to be prevention, and yet the numbers stayed at 17 or 21, wherever you want to have it. We're now opening that back up, taking in nonprofits. We're bringing in others who have things that are actually looking at. I worked with Secretary Kennedy and others on the idea of we're opening up the possibility of psychedelic treatment and others that give us an opportunity. We got to research it, make sure it's good, but it's opening up that possibility. And I think, again, veterans are understanding now that we're putting them first. When I go to these hospitals, they're actually coming up saying thanks. We're back in where we need to be, and we're seeing a workforce develop. So suicide is going to come down. It's also going to take some transition stuff that your Secretary of Defense has been very helpful on. We've got to transfer them out of the military so they come to us better, but we're working on that.
Thank you. Jamison?
Mr. President, it may come as a surprise, but this has been the busiest 100 days in the history of the government.
In history. This is the biggest deal ever done. If you sold IBM, ExxonMobil, and 5 other companies together, it's peanuts compared to what we're doing. This is the biggest deal ever done financially in the history of the world. And I think we're doing great. You're going to see some big results. Go ahead.
And I'll just say something that Secretary Duffy said in his context, because it's complex, no one has done it. So this is something, a reordering of global trade that hasn't happened since the end of World War II. And it's long overdue because we've seen manufacturing offshore under the old global trading system. When the net result of the global trading system is that all the manufacturing goes to Asia and other places, that's a system you have to replace. We did it. They said everyone would retaliate. No one retaliated outside of China. They said no one would come to negotiate. We're talking to dozens of countries. They said no one would have offers. We have dozens of written offers. We have lots of countries in this week. This is like a break for me to come.
With all the countries that want to negotiate. They all want to negotiate. They want to make a deal.
Don't zoom in on this. Yeah, this is like a tracker, right? We have all these columns of gave us an offer. Are we in technical talks? And when do we expect to have deals done? Those are some weeks out, but we're working very quickly on this. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, James. You're going to have a lot of fun for the next 3 weeks. Michael, you have anything?
Illinois homeowners, if your house was built before 2019, I want to buy your house right now.
Michael, you have anything?
Mr. President, in the last 4 years, the world experienced a total lack of zero leadership under Biden, and then we've had 100 days of your leadership with respect, with strength, starting with there'll be all hell to pay if you don't let our people go. Dozens, over 40 Americans have come home under your leadership. Far more terrorists are no longer threatening the homeland under your leadership, pulling all of these agencies together, including the evil individual responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing, and to sit with the 13 Gold Star families, and you showing that follow-up and that justice has been incredible. But pulling this great team together, Mr. President, everything from revitalizing shipyards to cyber to space, that takes this entire team working together. It's an honor to far better, far safer for it.
Thank you very much. The Abbey Gate is really important. This was a horrible thing that destroyed the image, frankly, of the Biden administration. What happened there was a disgrace. It should have never happened, and Pam is working very much on prosecuting that person. We have the person, and he'll do well. I have no doubt about it. Thank you very much, Michael. So the CIA, I don't know, Ratcliffe, I don't know if he's going to say anything. He's probably the one person here that's not allowed to talk about the great job he's done, but go ahead anyway.
Mr. President, as you know, at your direction, the CIA has deployed our unique covert action authorities in various places and continents to successfully advance your national security and foreign policy priorities, to advance peace, to end wars, to take terrorists off the battlefield, and to keep illicit drugs from coming into this country and harming Americans. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to detail your accomplishments in that regard, we can't do so in front of this crowd. But you and I both know, Mr. President, that you have had a profound positive impact on America's national security posture. What I can talk about publicly is, as has been mentioned, the CIA provided the intelligence that led to the apprehension of the Abbey Gate bomber, who is now being prosecuted by our great Attorney General and providing a measure of justice to those 13 families that suffered as a result of that disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal during the last administration. In addition, at your direction, Mr. President, the CIA has negotiated and secured the release of Americans like Mark Fogel and Ksenia Carolina, who have been wrongfully detained, sending the message that you will forget about no Americans that are being held in other places unfairly and unjustly. And finally, Mr. President, the CIA is being restructured at your direction to focus on our core mission and to eliminate the well-documented politicization that has taken place in the intelligence community from bad actors in the past, to focus on our core mission and to make America safe again. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. President.
Good job. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Russell?
We're obviously involved in a number of budget bills that are moving, trying to make sure all of your priorities are reflected in the reconciliation, working on our upcoming budget. A wonderful job by the entire cabinet on that front. Details soon on that front. Sending up rescissions bills to Congress for things that Elon has found. But the regulatory aspect is something we don't talk about enough. And right now you've given us a goal of 10 for 1. We are working right now with all of the agencies to rack up how big of a deregulatory agenda that we can have. When you came into office, you basically stopped $200 billion in costs to American families just by stopping the Biden regulatory agenda. That's about $2,000 per family. We think about $900 billion in savings to American families that would be substantially bigger than that $2,000 number. And the point that I would make, in addition to just savings cheaper to the American people, there's an aspect of wisdom when you're enforcing these rules that comes into play. And I'm your regulator for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and we found this small mortgage lender in Chicago. His name is Barry Sterner. He had a firm called Townstone. And CFPB had gone after him because he complained about crime in Chicago, literally the same thing that the Democrat mayor had talked about. And they came after him for 7 years on a redlining disparate impact claim and ruined his life. We overturned that. We apologized on your behalf to that individual, and we basically, without having to go through notice and comment, we ended the policy that set that in motion. And so that's happening across these agencies with how they are using their enforcement discretion, and it will only continue based on the stonewall of backing that you've given us to make these hard calls. I don't think they're actually that hard, but no one's done it to this point, and we were able to go forward and do that because of the backing that you've given us.
So maybe the biggest thing we're working on, maybe bigger than tariffs in a certain sense, is we call it the one big beautiful bill. And that's wielding its way right now. Amazing. And the speaker has been so great, Congress. Mike Johnson has been really two guys that they get along great, and it's just been a beautiful, unified attack, really, because we have to attack because the Democrats are trying to stop it at every turn. It would mean a 58% tax hike if they were successful. But with us, it'll be the biggest tax cut in American history. How are we doing with the bill?
We're doing great. We're day in, day out, hour by hour negotiations to make sure your stuff is in there, and to make sure we have the border resources, the defense resources, and to save the American people some tax money and make sure all those tax cuts that you ran on are in there that help get people back into the workforce. And I think we're making a ton of progress.
I think we're doing well. Like I said, the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, and it would be the biggest tax increase if the Democrats are successful. They're the only people I've ever seen running for office where they want to increase taxes, but this would be a 58, maybe a 60% tax increase, unsustainable for the American people. Thank you very much. Great job. Susie, the most powerful woman in the world. I agree with that. I agree.
I'll be brief so you can hear from these amazing people. Congratulations to everyone on 100 days. That's been it's unparalleled in my memory and best I can tell ever. But it hasn't been busy for busy's sake. The president's promises made to the American people have been kept time and time and time again. You all have been out there in the media. It hasn't gone unnoticed, and let's work hard to the next 100 and have equally as much success then.
I think everybody agrees.
Yes.
If you have anybody that disagrees, please. Please raise your hand if you have the courage to do so. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you. And you made it very clear that you wanted to put America first. And also from day one, you wanted to make housing affordable again, because we do have a housing affordability crisis in our country. And so at HUD, we've been cutting all the red tape and bureaucracy as it pertains to housing affordability and unleashing creativity of our builders and developers around our country and restoring local control. We took down the affirmatively furthering fair housing rule, as you know, which was a zoning tax from Washington. So no longer will Washington be picking winners and losers, but localities and elected officials in different states and cities will have that flexibility. Also, you alluded to securing the border, and such a great job has been done with all of our partners at the table. And at HUD, we want to make sure that the resources that we have now, which is American taxpayer dollars, in the Biden administration, they prioritize illegal aliens over the Secretary Noem and DHS to make sure that HUD-funded housing only goes to American citizens and no longer will it go to illegal aliens coming across. People living in subsidized housing in our country. 59% of illegal alien families use some sort of welfare program costing us $42 billion a year. And so we have prioritized American and American people only to live in HUD-funded housing. And also to make housing affordable, we also signed a partnership with Secretary Burgum at DOI to use underutilized federal lands, as you campaigned on and promised to identify those lands to build affordable housing in our country so that people can realize the American dream. We also restored biological truth, as you did in sports. We have the equal access rule at HUD, which we took that rule down to ensure that at women shelters, that those that enter those shelters would be of the same sex, and that we would protect the ladies of our country. No longer will those that identify as women but are not women be able to enter our shelter, so we can protect the ladies that we serve.
Culture evolves at the speed of light, just like your financial needs. When it comes to your money, Credit Karma keeps you in the know and ahead of the game. You can count on Credit Karma to keep up with your financial needs as they evolve. We'll help you monitor your progress and give personalized recommendations so you can make strides towards your goals and find your way to money. Intuit Credit today.
Along with our DOGE task force, We identified over $2 billion in savings. At HUD, $260 million at HUD were just in contracts, $4 million were DEI. And so we took those contracts down and de-obligated and sent back $1.9 billion back to the Treasury for the American people. Again, we want to be good stewards over the American taxpayer dollars. And so, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership in this. And we have a tremendous team at HUD, and I'm so grateful to be part of this team around this table to take care of the American people. And I consider it a great honor and humble to do so. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm not sure if anyone's heard, but the price of eggs is down. I know it's news. Listen, sir, today on as we celebrate the 100th day, I think that it's just such a joy and an honor to continue to do this work. So thank you for that. We have been obviously very focused on the cost of groceries, specifically eggs led the way, as you have so eloquently discussed over the last few months, and we're holding tight on a very significant decrease, which is great. And investing where we need to there. As I mentioned before the press came in, we have had a massive issue with Mexico on water, getting water to our farmers along the border for decades. When I worked in Texas 25 years ago, we were fighting with the Mexican government over the water then. You got involved about 2. As of just a few days ago, thanks to Secretary Rubio's great deputy secretary and I have been negotiating, and we hit the best deal, I believe, in history on behalf of our farmers, and thanks to your leadership and your strength on that. And that's a really big deal long term for those farmers in the southern part of the country. On the energy side, I know we've got Secretary Burgum and his partner Secretary Wright, but we often forget that agriculture has a major piece of the energy dominance agenda, not just timber, not just minerals, but biofuels. So we continue to support that great leadership coming from those agencies and doing hopefully our part as well, and they've been incredible in that. Our farmers have been hurting under the Joe Biden administration. There was a 30% increase in the cost of input, so the cost of doing business for these farmers over those 4 years. When we left the White House the first time 4 years ago, we had a $0 trade deficit with our agriculture products. After 4 years of Biden, that hit $50 billion because they just didn't make an effort. And so obviously that's $50 billion less dollars at a time of very thin profitability for our agriculture community. So the Congress passed because the last administration didn't get a farm bill done either, the farmers were hurting there. So Congress stepped in. I say all that and basically said $10 billion to move out. USDA, fastest in history, that plant their crops. And so I'm really proud of that, and you'll hear a lot of that from the farmers today, that this USDA is moving more quickly than any ever before. And we're not organizing money. Last administration was moving out. We have canceled $6 billion in contracts thanks to our great friend Elon Musk and his Doge team. A lot of those were DEI, gender, studying transgender mice. Who knew that the racism and pest management? We've canceled all of it. We're going through a major restructuring. USDA is one of the biggest agencies. It's sort of a catch-all. And we're really downsizing and aligning around putting farmers first, which is really important. A big part of USDA is food stamps. It is perhaps one of the largest, if not the largest, welfare program, and it's a supplemental nutrition program. Secretary Kennedy and I have been working very closely. We were in Texas yesterday talking about nutrition and agriculture. You can't make America healthy again without your farmers and your ranchers as your partner. So ensuring that our food stamp program and those at the bottom end of the socioeconomic ladder really have access to nutritious foods as we're facing an obesity crisis and a chronic disease crisis, which I'm sure Secretary Kennedy will touch on. And the final thing I'll say is this morning, Secretary Noem and I, together, and I brought a picture because I think this is important and it goes to why we're here. This is a South Dakota ranching family named the Mods. They are a fifth generation ranching family. Charles Mod, in his 30s, bought the ranch from his granddad, I'm going to show the press, when he was 17 years old. Those beautiful children, Lyle and Kennedy. They had, of their several hundred acre operation, they used about 20 acres and had a fence that had been there since 1910 when their family took over the ranching operation. There had never been really any problem that had been brought to their attention. Perhaps there was a minor dispute over, again, 20 acres. This family was indicted, prosecuted, threatened with jail time, told to find guardians for their children over a fence line dispute that the Biden DOJ pushed forward. So this morning, on the steps of the U.S. Department of Agriculture with Secretary Noem, who was their governor, as the governor of South Dakota, which is where these great people are from, all criminal charges were dropped, and really appreciate the Department of Justice. It was a really big day as we sent the signal that the over-criminalization and using government, and you know this better than anyone because you were in the crosshairs for so long, that those days are over and the regulation through prosecution is no more. And so this family is one of many that we'll now be talking to ensure that never happens again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Scott.
Sir, it's been a momentous 100 days with you at the helm, and I view this 100 days as setting the table for peace deals, trade deals, tax deals. So the next 100 days will be harvesting. You created negotiating leverage and leadership. They're going to yield remarkable results. Energy costs have plummeted. Mortgage rates are down. Food costs are moving lower. And American families are finding their financial footing again. I had a group in today. America, under your leadership, is on the verge of becoming an AI superpower. That our economy had become barbelled. We had high tech and finance on one side, natural resources led by energy, which the previous administration tried to kill on the other, and you're filling in between with precision manufacturing that we're going to be bringing back through good trade policies, good tax policies. The DOGE at Treasury and the IRS, cost, tech support, and efficiency have increased. We have the IRS revenues are up, and thanks to the young man sent over by DOGE, the IT update that began in 1990, which has begun before he was born, is going to be finished during your term. So trade, you couldn't make it up, trade, taxes, and deregulation. The one big beautiful bill under your leadership, Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done a great job, but they have you as a closer on many of their members. And I'll just close by saying economic security is national security, and it's never been better. We're rebuilding it. And as I said last week at the IMF and World Bank conferences, America first does not mean America alone. Under President Trump, it means leadership.
Well said. Thank you. Are you busy in there? He's doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you, and thanks to the cabinet. So, at the risk of insulting everybody else at the table, I believe that I am the youngest member sitting at the table. And, it occurred to me that from the time that I was born to the time that Donald J. Trump was inaugurated just a few months ago, we went from, again, 40 years, we went from the world's manufacturing superpower to one in which we depend on the People's Republic of China to make the things that we need. We went from the proudest military in the world to one in which we failed to meet our recruiting goals. And we went from one in which bipartisan border policy was the consensus of both Democrats and Republicans to one in which we allowed 20 million people to run roughshod illegally over the countryside, causing crime, causing a stress on the welfare system. And again, that happened over the lifetime of the youngest member of the cabinet. And every single one of those negative trends. And I think what it shows to me is that the president, and you sit in the Oval Office and you see these portraits of presidents, placeholders. They've been people who've allowed their staff to sign executive orders with an auto pen instead of men of action. And the reason the media attacks this administration as chaotic is because the president is solving the problems the American people set about to solve. He's actually doing the things that he promised that he would do. And Mr. President, it's been an honor to be a part of it for the past 100 days. And let me just make one other observation, because it's interesting. I've seen the data, I've monitored it, I've looked at it, but the most underreported fact of the first 100 days is that we came in with a massive recruitment shortfall. And in 100 days of Secretary Hegseth and President Trump's leadership, we now have people breaking down the doors to join our military. To the media assembled here, it's a really interesting question. Why has that happened? Completely aside from the fact that I think it's a good thing, or I think that President Trump deserves political credit for it, why did we go from a military where people didn't want to serve to now all of a sudden they do want to serve? That's a story you guys should cover. But compared to that, how much time have you instead focused on the fact that we deported an MS-13 gang member with a valid deportation order? And why is it that the press is so focused on the fake BS? I think that what we've shown, sir, is that you can do a lot. You can do a lot in 100 days, but you've also unfortunately revealed that too much of the American media hasn't learned the lessons of the past 40 years.
Pam?
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country, ever. Ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you. Your directive to me was very simple: make America safe. And despite that, we've still been defending over 200 civil lawsuits filed against you. On top of everything else, I think I'm representing every one of you in this room in some capacity. I know you will not be arrested by the U.S. Marshals. Over 200 lawsuits, over 50 injunctions, and now we've got multiple cases in front of the Supreme Court, and we will succeed, and we are doing great in front of the Supreme Court, President, and we'll continue on with that. I was at DEA yesterday, and they said to me, you, Donald Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents. And as a result of, since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives.
I think the
kids are dying every day because they're taking this junk laced with something else. They don't know what they're taking. They think they're buying a Tylenol or an Adderall. Dead, and no longer because of you, what you've done. ATF, since you've been in office, President, along with DOJ agencies, seized 14. Why aren't people reporting that? 651,000 rounds of ammo. That's up 151% from 2024. That's keeping America safe. We've rescinded death penalty. We are now seeking the death penalty on cases. I'm signing death warrants. We are going after terrorism. We are going after arsonists. Whether you're burning Teslas, we've arrested 9 people so far in 7 jurisdictions, no negotiations, 20 years in prison, or you're burning down the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. We will be there to protect you. And I've been talking to Governor Shapiro, and he greatly appreciated you reaching out as well. ISIS terrorist, we got one in New York, right around the corner. We got an ISIS terrorist in New York. We have an October 7th task force. We just broke up a huge human trafficking ring by the Sinaloa cartel. 1,000 pounds of methamphetamine on our streets. Ton of fentanyl, 20,000 Molly pills. Those are the drug of choice among at clubs and bars for young kids. They were fake, but you know what they had in them? Fentanyl. That's 20,000 lives saved because of you, right there. We brought back 29 cartel members from Mexico in your direction, and one killed the Kiki Camareno, a DEA agent, in 1985, and many of us got to talk to his widow and his son, who is now a judge. And they started crying. They have tried to get that guy in this room, working together. They have justice. They were crying on the phone because of what you did, President Trump. Thank you. We're going after anti-Semitism. We're unleashing everything you told us. No more DEI, no more weaponization. We have rescinded, as I said, 200 policies And I could go on all day long, but we are doing everything in our power to keep America safe at your direction. Thank you, President.
You're really doing a great job. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go.
Nice to see you, Mr. President. Well, first of all, I think what you've heard amongst this team is the leadership, because it's given us the latitude really to collaborate amongst each other, not only in this room, as Jameson mentioned, we kind of get a break for a couple of hours here, but we stay in contact actually every other day that we're working for you. And I think what that says is, I was speaking to, for instance, the Farm Bureau of Texas yesterday. I'm not the Ag Secretary, but it matters to the workforce. I'm working with the other secretaries, Lutnick and McMahon, on education and the workforce investments that you've asked me to do. Because as you've come in and negotiated these great repatriation of these companies and the investments, we're going to need that workforce to build back this economy. And I couldn't see that more as I kicked off my 50-state tour. We've been in 5 states so far. We'll finish all 50 states by the end of the year. And what we're talking to is the American workforce and these companies. That we finally have made that connection. What do they need? How quick do they need it? And how fast can I get these either apprenticeships toward that million that we've put that lofty goal? We've already added 80,000 new apprenticeships already just since January. So at the Department of Labor, that tour is kicked off, and I couldn't be more honored to be on the ground and see my colleagues that we're passing in the skies, but we're on the ground together because we're all collaborating together. One of the things that we're talking about, illegal immigration, I have put states on notice. I warned all 50 governors that if they continue to reward illegal immigration by treating unemployment benefits as a handout, they're going to lose their federal funding as well. We can no longer continue to give unemployment insurance to illegal immigrants. And so I've let those governors, and I sent out that letter last week. We also eliminated discriminatory DEI offices within the department, specifically the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. Most of our federal contracts were really just to focus on DEI enforcement. We were really punishing a lot of these companies. If they weren't compliant, they weren't going to have a federal contract. We've let go of that program completely. $4.4 billion in unspent COVID funds came back to the Treasury from the CARES Act. Billions were collecting dust in these coffers, in the state coffers. We've asked for that money back to return to the Department of Treasury. We saved $250 million by canceling America Last, is what I call it, foreign handouts, including funding for things like transparency and accountability for Uzbekistan cotton industry. It doesn't make sense. And thank you to DOJ and to the government efficiency, what we have found with the fraud that we're seeing.
It's so ridiculous, you can't believe it.
No, I write them down. It doesn't
sounds
make
like
sense.
a comedy sketch.
That's right. And so again, with the executive order preparing Americans for high-paying skilled trade jobs of the future, that's our goal. The trades is where we're being focused, but all companies, and we want to make sure we're on hand for that. And, you know, what I want to say is thank you to government efficiency, because you asked us, when this transitions out, will our departments and our agencies continue that government efficiency? And I think that we surpassed that in the Department of Labor. Out of our 14,000 federal employees, 3,000 have taken the DRP, and we offered it again. So over 21% have taken that offer. And we'll keep our critical workforce, MSHA, OSHA, and wage and hour, and make sure our workers stay safe. So with your leadership, Mr. President, I couldn't be more honored to serve.
Right.
I know we were probably the last to know each other, but we're getting to know each other well. And the team that you have assembled is really an honor to serve with. So thank you, Mr. President.
You're doing great. Thank you very much. Chris, please.
Mr. President, you ran on unleashing American energy, and 100 days have shown the tremendous impacts that can arise from the unleashing you have enabled. I'll hit a few highlights. Number one, oil, gasoline, and diesel prices are the lowest they've been in years. How does that happen in 100 days? That's a message. Energy, we're for it. That sends a message to the marketplace that supply is easier to grow now and supply will be coming, and that's already led to tremendous savings for American consumers across the country. And we need not only...
What? No. Oh, I know what it is. Sorry about that, guys. Come on. Sorry about that.
Bluetooth connect.
Bluetooth must disconnect there, sir.
More energy. If you had not won election, we would not have won the AI race. Full stop. Energy would not have been there to enable us to win. Reshoring of manufacturing. These trillions of dollars you led off with, it's going to come back to our country to make chips, to make steel, to make automobiles, to make artificial intelligence, to make all of these industries we've outsourced. That's only going to be possible with way more American energy. But we have that energy. We have those resources. We have those businesses. We have those capitalists. We just need to stop standing in the way of them and follow the lead you've set, which is to enable them, not to subsidize them, not to help them, to enable them to invest American money and create American jobs here. Regarding our balance of trade, the second largest export of the United States is liquefied natural gas. Second fastest. In the next few years, it'll be our largest export in our country. But yet, 18 months ago, the Biden administration had said, we're going to stop issuing permits for new LNG export terminals. That's just nuts. That's a great competitive advantage we have. Huge balance of trade driver, a huge industry just coiled and ready to go. I just came back from Poland last night. They are thrilled that America's back in business again and that the rest of Europe can get off of Russian energy and can enable their own economic growth with secure, reliable, affordable energy from the United States. Also witnessed the signing ceremony for a deal between two large American businesses to build a huge nuclear power plant in northeastern Poland. The first of this design built in Europe. It'll be the first of many. I spoke to many other nations over there. They want to buy more American gas. They want to get American technology. They want to have a partnership with us. And they shared the message I delivered to Europe in my keynote remarks.
This shower head does much more than normal shower heads. If you haven't bought it yet, please take 2 minutes for me to introduce it to you.
Come on.
Is that unleashing energy is the way you make your society safer, more prosperous, more free, and that these sort of over-the-top climate alarmism doesn't do anything to help the environment of our world, but it does impoverish people, it does reduce the security of your nation, and it makes you weaker. I think that's a constant message many of us around this table have brought to Europe. We want our friends in Europe standing up again and leaning in. A lot great is happening under your leadership. We're unleashing consumer products that Americans wanted to buy that Biden was making illegal. I'll be in Georgia on Friday at Renai's manufacturing plant. Tankless natural gas water heaters. Incredibly popular product. They almost became illegal. The return of common sense is incredibly welcome across this country, across the world. And back to Elon, that extra thing, we're going to deliver all of this with less people, less money, less burden on the U.S. taxpayers. Not smaller departments and smaller services, better, more thoughtful services done more efficiently and smarter. The way you'd have to run a business. We've got to get our fiscal house in order, and you and the people around this table are making it happen. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you very much. Please.
Yes, Mr. President, you are 100% correct. The border is 99.99% safe, under control. You have completely reversed the entire situation. In fact, the day before yesterday, I was down in El Paso, and those Border Patrol agents are so impacted by how you've changed things in a year. They have put up huge pictures that say, under the Biden administration, the mobs of people that were pushing through razor wire and trampling children, and the chaos and the violence that was happening at that same location, they have a picture there that says, this is what the Biden administration looks like, and this is what the Trump administration looks like. It's peaceful. People who do business between Mexico and America are coming through. They're doing it legally. They're following the law, and it's all because of what you've done and what you've empowered them to do. The recruitment for Border Patrol is through the roof. For ICE agents, they want to be a part of ICE because they recognize they actually get to do their jobs. I have the Coast Guard too. Coast Guard recruitment is up over 20% just in the last 60 days. Everybody wants to be a part of what the heritage is of this country. We've repositioned the entire Coast Guard fleet to focus on border and drug interdiction. As we've secured the border, the cartels have gone to the water and are going out in maritime waters to move their drugs into this country. The Coast Guard just in the last 2 months has taken into custody over 126 tons of cocaine, millions of doses of fentanyl. It's just amazing. And the aliens that they are deporting is incredible too. We've been working with all of them. The one thing that I want to point out is the fake news has been saying that Biden deported more people than you. And it's an absolute lie. And they're letting the Biden administration get away with manipulating and cooking the books. What they're counting for the Biden administration is every single person that came to that border that they processed and let into this country. They're allowing Biden to say that was a deportation just by processing somebody and letting him come into the country. It's absolutely false. It's not true at all. You have deported over 250 known terrorists. You've deported members, hundreds of thousands of people that were in this country illegally. We've collected $30 billion worth of tariffs through CBP, and we've also collected millions and millions, hundreds of millions of fines and penalties from people that have overstayed here in this country. So I just want to thank you. You've been a game changer. I want to thank Pete for his leadership at DOD and what they've done. I want to thank Marco for his diplomacy and getting us travel documents into these countries. Mexico has finally come to the table and now is going to take a lot more people that we're able to send back to that country. And the president of Mexico told me, sir, she turned around over 500,000 people in Mexico before they ever reached our border. We should be counting those as deportations because they never even made it to the border because she turned them around because you forced her to. So those are all people that never even came here because they got the message because you were so aggressive. So thank you for what you're doing. And every day we get to get up and do jobs that matter. And we appreciate that. Oh, yeah, Tom's a great messenger for us. He just, yeah, he's hardcore. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he is.
Mr. President, it's such an honor to serve in this administration and on behalf of Main Street America for our 34 million small businesses that make up 99% of all businesses in this great nation. I have to tell you, under your leadership, Main Street is open for business again. They're thriving and they're investing. And the data that we have at the Small Business Administration,
you don't want to slow down the innovation pipeline. You don't want to slow.
The loans that we're putting out, a record 26,000 loans in your first. Small businesses each week are receiving that funding, that investment in the future. Small businesses create 2 out of every 3 new jobs in this country, and we've already seen under your leadership the jobs economy is back, manufacturing jobs are back. We've seen a 38% increase in manufacturing loans. We put out 1,500 manufacturing loans in your first 100 days. We saw startups increase by 54%, and we saw businesses under 5 people increase by 95%. So your leadership on the economy matters to every region of this great nation. I'll tell you on the manufacturing front, I'm out on a national manufacturing tour. We've met with 250 manufacturers, and as I walk through the factory floors, they all ask me to thank you for fighting for their jobs, for these industries, and for the people who are creating things from pharmaceuticals to aerospace to food and all these essentials. This nation needs to be independent and strong. And to that end, I'm working with Congress. We'll be announcing tomorrow an upsizing of our manufacturing loans to make sure that that economic engine, because 98% of all manufacturers are small businesses. It's incredible to walk through these factories that are really creating what you had in your first administration, the blue collar boom. It's now a new collar boom because it's the intersection they can create for our war fighters, for our aerospace, for pharmaceuticals with less than 300 to 500 employees. Sometimes that is creating machines to help with the Iron Dome in Israel. Less than 50 employees. This is the engine of our economy. It's the heartbeat of our communities. It's the small businesses that helped elect you because they needed your economic agenda. So thank you, Mr. President. It's such an honor, and congratulations on an epic 100 days. I do have to thank Elon. I do want to note that we just cut $3 billion in contracts because of Doja's work. That's $3 billion that hardworking families that won't have to work until April 15th to pay for the waste, fraud, and abuse that we continue to find in this government on behalf of taxpayers. So again, thank you, Elon.
Thank you. Good job, Kelly. Thank you very much. Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. Even my hat has a hat. The American people voted for secure borders, safe cities, and sensible spending. And that's what they've gotten. A tremendous amount has been accomplished in the first 100 days. As everyone has said, it's more than has been accomplished in any administration before, ever, period. Portends very well for what happened for the rest of the administration. I think this could be the greatest administration since the founding of the country.
Well, we all want to thank you for your help. You really have sacrificed a lot. You've been treated very unfairly.
Well, they do like to burn my cars, which is not great.
But you have been treated unfairly, but the vast majority of people in this country really respect and appreciate you, and this whole room can say that very strongly. You've really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes as to what could be done, and we just want to thank you very much. And you're invited to stay as long as you want. At some point, because he wants to get back home to his car. You've done an incredible job. $150 billion. Think of that.
Yeah. 160 now.
100, yeah, 160. They said, "Oh, it couldn't be more." And a lot of stuff is being worked on. That number could be doubled and even tripled. A lot of things are being worked on that we don't count yet because it's not quite there. But you've done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it very much, Elon.
It's also an honor to work with your incredible cabinet. I just like to say thank you, everyone. It's great to work with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, congratulations on this truly historic first 100 days of your administration. Really only made possible by your focused leadership in delivering the mandate the American people gave you. You've empowered all of us to deliver that mandate. And I'm grateful to have the privilege of leading the intelligence community towards ending the weaponization, politicization of the intelligence community that's gone on for far too long. And building out what is truly a lean and agile and effective intelligence community that is helping you deliver that promise to the American people of safety, security, and freedom. So, Mr. President, I'd like to highlight just 3 of the areas where we are helping to support your leadership and your work in making America safe again and bringing about these changes. First of all, because of your designation of cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, I took immediate action with our National Counterterrorism Center to prioritize their focus on those terrorists and gang members who are trying to enter our country through legal or illegal means, and to seek out those who already are here in our country because of the Biden administration's 4 years of open borders. We've been working very closely with your great Attorney General's team at the DEA to get these known cartels into our systems, to be able to stop them at the border, and turning over names to Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to be able to find those who are already here in our country. Just the other day, we found 700 alien terrorists who have ties to MS-13.
Wait, if you were a patient at any Illinois behavioral health facility, including Timberline Knolls, Heart Grove Hospital, or any
MS-13, Tren de Aragua, and the Sinaloa cartel. Just yesterday, our NCTC identified almost 600 individuals with ties to other terrorists who came through our borders illegally, claimed asylum, and under the Biden administration were paroled here within our borders. Secondly, Mr. President, like too many organizations in the federal government, the ODNI has become very bloated with too much waste and abuse going on within the organization. We've done a few immediate steps. We are doing more. The ODNI is 25% smaller and more lean today than it was when I walked in the door and when you took office. Secondly, we have just this morning actually shut down a human capital office. As soon as you issued the executive order to stop all DEI activities, we did that, shut down the DEI office. We discovered this human capital office that was essentially a slush fund for DEI initiatives, hidden under the guise of human capital, that closed down this morning, saving taxpayers $150 million. We'll soon be announcing an additional $2.6 billion in savings with other programs and contracts that do nothing to ensure our national security interests. And lastly, we're working every day to hold the deep state accountable, to end the politicization, weaponization of the intelligence community. This past week, I sent 3 criminal referrals for illegal and unauthorized leaks to the media of classified intelligence for prosecution. We have 11 more that are under investigation. We've revoked, at your direction, 67 security clearances, and we continue the work of declassifying documents, as we have already around JFK assassination. We have more coming for the assassination of Bobby's father, Senator Kennedy, and MLK assassination. And we continue our extensive investigations around exposing the very serious issues we have related to election integrity, illegal abuses of FISA, Crossfire Hurricane, and others. Mr. President, under your leadership, we are working every day to bring about that transparency and accountability that the American people deserve. So thank you for the opportunity.
Great job. Thank you very much. Lee?
Mr. President, at the Biden EPA, the Green New Deal was raging. At the Biden EPA, we saw billions of tax dollars burning. At the Biden EPA, we saw industries suffocating. But at the Trump EPA, the Green New Deal is dead. At the Trump EPA, we know that we can both protect the environment and grow the economy. I have 13 pages of accomplishments from our first 100 days in here, and in it, part of it is 100 environmental accomplishments at the Trump EPA. You don't have to take my word for it. We released it to the media this morning. Every single day that President Trump is in this office, there will be a major environmental accomplishment. Every single day of the Trump administration. At the Trump EPA, we're also launching what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. We're going to be giving our director of the OMB a whole lot of work because we inherited a big mess from the Biden EPA. And working with Elon and Doge, I've canceled now $22 billion worth of grants. Now today is a special day for many reasons. The biggest reason why we're here is that this is the 100th day of the most consequential, historic first 100 days in the history of this country. Today, while we're here, the House of Representatives is voting on Congressional Review Act bills, considering the EPA waivers that were given to California's tailpipe emissions, where California set their own standards. But there should be one national standard, and right now, Congress, on the House side, is going to be voting on that today. On a personal note, while this is a bit outside of the EPA jurisdiction, today is my last day serving in the United States Army. And I first signed up towards the end of the 90s. And I've had a chance to see a lot of national security teams over the course of the last 27 years. There has never been a national security team ever assembled. This national security team right now. And we have never had a president so deeply committed towards ending foreign wars instead of starting new ones. There's a reason, Mr. Vice President, why everyone is racing to join our Department of Defense. We have a Secretary of Defense who, with all due respect to our great president, would probably rather be swimming with Navy SEALs right now, be running somewhere in the Middle East with our service members. And from our Secretary of Defense to our Secretary of State, our Vice President, and more. I just want to say thank you as a veteran of our military for assembling what is the greatest national security team that I have ever seen in my 27 years associated with the United States Army.
Has Pete signed off on this retirement leave? Is that...
Welcome to the end with me.
Thank you for your service, Lee.
Yeah, thank you.
You're doing a fantastic job. I appreciate it very much. So,
well, Mr. President, I don't think I've ever worked so hard to try to fire myself. We're certainly making great strides in that. We've reduced the folks over at the Department of Education by about 50% now through our RIF program, and so we've closed a lot of the district offices, consolidating. So there are a lot fewer people. The commissioners of education in every state, and I was at a meeting with them not too long ago for not only our states but our territories. They are thrilled with the opportunity now to be able to have more.
We've been lied to. This is the worst I've ever seen it. This is a place where people are so angry, so frustrated, so fearful.
Man, you look there quiet tonight.
More control over the education in their states, to get rid of a lot of the red tape and regulation that's kept them from doing what they're doing. So we're seeing, I think, great improvements. We'll see test scores, I believe. It'll take a bit for them to be able to go up, but I think now that they're going to have the opportunity to put in their own programs, we'll see that grow. At the same time, we've been focused on higher education for our universities. We've returned proper enforcement of Title IX protections to schools. We have stopped funding to Columbia, for instance, and some other schools for not only Title IX but Title VI infractions. And those are moving along. I think we've brought people to the table. They know that you're serious. You meant what you said. They're going to make changes. They're making their campuses safer again. Anti-Semitism was just out of control in many of our universities. And so some tried to, in fact, Harvard is sued, and they're saying that it's, First Amendment infraction. No, this is civil rights, safety on our campuses for our young students who are there. And with Pam's help and the task force that we formed with HHS, with U.S.A., with other agencies, we're going to make sure that our campuses are safe. And so there's a lot of good work going on. I think one of the biggest things, you'll be very happy to hear this, Mr. Vogt, that we are putting back into place collecting on our student loans that have been delinquent since March of 2020. Been no effort to recollect on those loans. So as of May 5th, a letter goes out that the loan recollection is beginning again. So for those people who have borrowed money and who've not been paying, that's just not to be punitive. There are many ways that they can go online to understand how they can get back into the right payment structure, because when they're in default, they can't buy a house, they can't buy a car because their credit scores are down. So it's helpful to them as well as to get this money back into the country. I mean, $60 billion of increased student loan debt since 2020. And in total, we've got almost $1.7 trillion in student debt. So we're gonna start getting it back. And Scott and his team have been incredibly helpful. We appreciate that so very, very much. And so a lot's going on in the department. And what I would really like, as I'm as the education president, because of the best in practice systems that we want to put in every state to incorporate AI, so that we are training these new entrepreneurs and business leaders in our country. We can't do it with the infrastructure we have in place today, so we have to be working on that at the same time. So we're going to be doing that. So thank you for your charge to elevate education so that we are providing excellent education. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Linda. And what's going on with Harvard and some of these colleges that are taking vast amounts of money, who also have vast amounts? They've got $52 billion and really scamming the public and hiring people like de Blasio and Lori Lightfoot, who are certainly two of the worst mayors in the history of our country, paying them a fortune of salary and having them teach our children how to manage cities and how to manage government. What's the word as of this morning on, let's say, Harvard?
Well, we're negotiating with them. When we went back to them to say we'd welcome them back to the negotiating table, their response was a lawsuit. So Pam and her team are helping helping work with that. And I am, enjoying the fact not only am I firing myself, but I'm now being sued fairly regularly by different departments of education. But we're staying tough with them. The other thing that we're looking at also are the 117 violations of these big universities like Harvard and others who are not reporting, as they're required to do by law, foreign money that comes in and how much that is and where it comes from. And so that is
students.
Yeah, and it's very serious.
Where are these people coming from?
Yeah, sir, we pulled back their grants because Harvard isn't responding to us. Getting any more grants from Homeland Security.
Good. I think we should pull it back.
We did.
The students they have, the professors they have, the attitude they have is not American, and I think a grant is a grant. We don't have to give grants.
Exactly right.
So we'll pull back the grant. All right. Very good. Thank you very much, Freddie.
Mr. President, thank you for your extraordinary leadership over the past 100 days. We are already making America healthy again. We announced last week the ban on the 9 petroleum-based synthetic dyes, food dyes. Within 2 years, within 2 months, we're going to ban the worst 2 of them. I am working with Secretary Rollins on dietary guidelines. The dietary guidelines that the President Biden's administration gave us, 453 pages. They're basically unreadable. And they are the product of the same kind of politicized science that drove Fruit Loops to the top of the food pyramid. And we're going to do real science, gold standard science. We're going to develop within, we have till December to do it, but we are working very, very fast together. We're going to get it done by the end of the summer in time to drive change, major dramatic changes in the school food, the school lunch programs over the next school year. I'm working also with Secretary Rollins on the SNAP program and to get sodas and the food stamp program. 10% of food stamps go to the SNAP. And I want to thank you for your courage. You are a business-friendly president, probably the most business-friendly in our history, but you're also willing to stand up to very, very powerful businesses, and you've shown that again and again. Secretary Rollins had the soda industry come and knock on her door very much, very loudly, and they said to her, well, the SNAP program is not supposed to be about nutrition. She pointed out to them that there is no nutrition in a soda. And they said, well, it's not supposed to be about nutrition. And she said to them, the name of the program is supplemental nutrition. It is about nutrition. And we should, we have 38% of our kids are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and we are paying at both ends. We're paying for the food-like substances that make them diabetic, and then we're being bankrupt. We're paying $1 trillion a year on metabolic dysfunction. It's existential and it's not sustainable. We have, I visited Arizona, West Virginia, Utah, and Indiana in the last 2 weeks, who have all applied for SNAP waivers. We're encouraging, thanks to Brooke Rollins' leadership, all of the states to apply for those waivers. I also visited Utah, which is the first state to ban supplemental fluoride. Florida yesterday passed a bill to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm confident Governor DeSantis is going to sign that. We are working, Lee Zeldin and I are working together to change the federal fluoride regulations, to change the recommendations, and we're looking at the science now. I want to point out that in August,
urinate excessively, feel extreme fatigue, or have blurry vision because of type 2. Place fermented ginger under your tongue.
The National Toxicity Program, which was armed with the NIH, did a meta-review of all the science on fluoride and found that there's a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure and low IQ in children. So the more you get, the stupider you are. And we need smart kids in this country, and we need healthy kids, and thank you for your leadership. We're going to get there. We're reviewing the GRAS standards now to get We're revamping them to get 10,000 ingredients that are in our food. The Europeans only have 400 ingredients. We have 10,000. There are chemicals we know nothing about. And we are going to stop that process, and then we're going to go back and look at these chemicals and make the companies either get rid of them or to label them. We've launched Operation Storage Speed, and we're going full speed ahead to make sure that we have good, high-quality milk for children. We have launched the autism study at your direction. By September, we'll have some of the first answers. Within 6 months of that, we will have definitive answers, not only for autism, but for the epidemic in our children. We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, the 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration. And we have ended funding for gender mutilation surgeries and other kind of gender dysphoria practices. And thanks to Elon, we have saved $67 billion at our agency without compromising any of our critical programs. Mr. President, I want to thank you for your vision, for your leadership, for giving me the 100 busiest days of my life, and most exciting and most rewarding. And there's, over the next 100 days, we're going to do much, much more.
That's good. Thank you very much. Very good. Very important. Thank you. Doug, please.
Well, President Trump, on your first day in office, you wisely, and this was essential because it was the signal that we're going to go 180 degrees from the disastrous and dangerous Biden policies that were based on a climate ideology that was the root cause of the inflation in this country. It was the root cause of wars abroad. It was the root cause of our manufacturing disappearing from our country. We can't have energy security. Without energy security, we can't have national security, and you understood that. But now with everything that's flowed from that, dozens of other EOs that you've done, America is back in the energy business. As Chris said, there's been a signal that's sent around the world. Capital is flowing, coming back in. The smart money is coming to this country. And now you've given us a chance to win the AI arms race against China. We know we're up against a formidable competitor. China opened up 94 gigawatts of coal in the last year. That's more than all of California and all of New York combined in the last year. We've had presidents in the past, the Biden administration, that were running away again under this climate ideology. You've embraced baseload power in this country. I'll never forget standing in the East Room with you, surrounded by the coal miners around this country, where you said, hey, big, beautiful coal. As we work to try to identify the balance sheet of America, our earliest estimate is that the coal resources in America, just on public lands, could be worth $8 trillion with a T. Now we're back in the business. I was 1,800 feet underground in a coal mine in Alabama a couple weeks ago. They do metallurgical coal. Without metallurgical coal, we can't produce steel. This is a plant. This is a plant that would have been in a mining operation that would have been shut down under the Biden administration. What we're doing here, back in the business, we're doing leasing. We're leasing for oil and gas. We're leasing for timber with Brooke Rollins. We're leasing for grazing. We're leasing for critical minerals, which is key. And when we lease the public lands appropriately and by the law to do that, we're bringing in revenue. We're bringing in jobs. We're helping strengthen America. And so we're treating our natural resources like the American balance sheet they are. And America's resources, the 700 million acres of surface that's public, the 700 million of subsurface, the 2.5 billion offshore, all contain what we need to have self-sufficient supply chains. And so in this, we're focused deeply on critical minerals. The Biden administration put us in a real...
If you've got pink salt and apple cider vinegar in your kitchen and you're not using this recipe, you're throwing away your chance to be summer ready.
put us in a real predicament right now. The whole trade team, the whole cabinet, Susie's jumping in, leadership across everybody, the National Energy Dominance Council. But of the top 20 critical and rare earth minerals that we need for defense, that we need for industry, so we are running at warp speed 7 days a week to try to put ourselves back in business in that way. So I want to just close out by saying a couple other things. One is the border. Few people realize that 41% of the southern border is in Department of Interior. And then we've got a few more percent that come with Brook and with the Forest Service. But that's been a risk area. Part of the reason everyone was pouring into our country, Biden wasn't enforcing the border laws. They definitely weren't enforcing it on public lands. And so again, using tying two presidents that had a great propensity for action, Theodore Roosevelt in 1907 created what was called the Roosevelt Reservation, 60-foot strip that go from Texas all the way to the Pacific Ocean, because he was worried in some future state there might be smuggling. I don't think he was anticipating human smuggling and fentanyl trafficking, but that has been largely unused. He gave us the authority to transfer that, and so working with Christie and working with Pete, we've transferred that to the DOD. So transferring land from the other agencies like Interior to the Department of Defense, and as Pete said, they can do the detain and assist with the military. And having been down at the border multiple times in recent week, I can confirm everything Christie said. The enthusiasm, the morale of that group is exactly 100% opposite of when Christie and I were down there as governors. I had Border Patrol people say that they were multi-generational service in that law enforcement that said, my wife and I are telling our children never to go into this thing, to go into Border Patrol. People this time were saying, I got a 17-year-old. As soon as they turn 18-year-old, they're signing up. My wife is thrilled. They're going into law enforcement. They're so proud to be serving with you. Everybody. The one thing they say on those trips is, please thank President Trump from all of us, the change that you're making. And I want to say especially this became very dear when in honor of Jocelyn Ungary. Jocelyn Ungary, of course, lost her life tragically to illegal Venezuelan gang members in this country in a horrific way. But her mother, Alexis, was at that ceremony. Her grandmother was there, and Jocelyn's great-grandmother was there. There were 3 other generations of that family were there. They all wanted to pass on their thank you to, and we've secured her name forever as a sanctuary. And really is saying that every child, every 12-year-old, every child in America should be safe in their own communities. And you've dedicated a beautiful piece on the coast in honor of her. So, President Trump, in your first term, when I had a chance to work you as governor, you were courageous. The thing that's empowering this amazing group of people around this table, and you've probably assembled the greatest cabinet ever, is that this time you're not just courageous, you're actually fearless. And it's your fearlessness to take on the issues that other presidents would not touch, whether it's the work that we're doing with successfully streamlining and right-sizing government, or whether it's taking on the issues at the border, or whether it's embracing the power we need to win the arms race. You're fearlessly doing that, and that creates it just all of us can sprint because you're running ahead. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and you are doing a great job. And with Chris, it's a pretty much unbeatable combination, I have to tell you. So thank you both very much. Thank you, Doug. It's great. Marco?
Well, it's not easy to go last, actually. All these reports that have come here. First of all, so I better be good, and I'll be short as well. A couple things, Mr. President. I think you deserve a lot of credit for 2 things. The first is assembling this great team of people. Some of whom I've known for a long time, others who I've gotten to know during this period of time, but putting together a team, not just of talented individuals, but that work well together, is something never going to be reported on in the media or fully seen, but it happens every single day. For the most part, I interact with almost everyone around this table at some level, and because of Secretary Kennedy, I'm afraid to eat anything. So, he said Tootsie Rolls are okay in moderation. But it's a great team. And here's the second, and I tell this to people all the time, this is incredibly rewarding service, and you hear it in everyone's voices. Traditionally in the past, and it's one of the problems we got in as a country, is presidents would say, okay, let's go do something, and then they would have to do a study, and then a study on the study, and then a long internal deliberative process, and by the time you got to it, it was too late, or somebody had forgotten it. In this administration, it's moving. You know the direction because you know why you were elected. The American people elected you very clearly. And basically, it's measured, I used to say by days and weeks, now it's measured by hours and minutes. But action is happening. And that's what people want to see. And let me talk about foreign policy in particular, because I'm not sure this is fully appreciated. This president inherited 30 years of foreign policy that was built around what was good for the world. In essence, the decisions we made as a government in trade and foreign policy was under President Trump. We're making a foreign policy now was it good for America? I was appointed by you and confirmed by the Department of State. Not the World Department of State, not the Global Department of State, the United States Department of State. And what that means is our foreign policy is guided by three things. Does it make America stronger? Does it make America safer? And does it make America richer?
Illinois homeowners, if your house was built before 2019, I want to buy your house right now, as is, no matter what.
If something doesn't do one of those three things, and hopefully all three of those things, we're not doing it. Now, we went out and hired a consulting firm to help us organize ourselves. Luckily, they were free. They're called the Department of Government Efficiency. And they helped us do a couple things. Number one is our foreign aid. We were funding some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. You tell me, how does a puppet show in some country around the world make us stronger, safer, and more prosperous? So we got rid of puppet shows and a bunch of other things. I'm sure there were very good puppet shows. And I'm sure that a bunch of charities in the world can go pay for it, but the American taxpayer should not. We've also, by the way, Mr. President, under your direction, reorganized the Department of State. We had offices within offices within offices that didn't even know they existed themselves, not to mention the rest of it. And so we've begun to reorganize that as a way to be able to empower our embassies and our ambassadors and our regional bureaus to do what many of them signed up to do. We have a great team of ambassadors you've appointed. They're coming online every single day. Very talented people that are involved. Something else we got out of the business of, wasn't widely reported, or maybe it was. We had an office in the Department of State whose job it was to censor Americans. And by the way, I'm not going to say who it is. I'll leave it up to them. There's at least one person at this table today who had a dossier in that building of social media posts to identify them as purveyors of disinformation. We have these dossiers. We are going to be turning those over to these individuals.
We can follow up with the media.
Well, we are going to turn over these dossiers to the individuals, and they'll decide whether they want to disclose it or not. But just think about the Department of State of the United States had set up an office to monitor the social media posts and commentary of American citizens, to identify them as vectors of disinformation, when we know that the best way to combat disinformation is freedom of speech and transparency. And so that's what we're going to be in the business of doing. We're not going to have an office that does that. Beyond that, Mr. President, and this I'll move quickly because this has been a team effort, we have gone to countries all over the world and said, hey, you want good relations with the United States, you need to take back your people that are here illegally. And we've had historic cooperation. Beyond that, and I say this unapologetically, we are actively searching for other countries to take people from third countries. So we are active, not just El Salvador, we are working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings. From America, the better, so they can't come back across the border. I'm not apologetic about it. We are doing that. The president was elected to keep America safe and to get rid of a bunch of perverts and pedophiles and child rapists out of our country. Here's something else we've done. We stopped giving student visas to people who are coming here to burn down our universities and take over libraries and harass people. Why are we giving student visas to people who are coming here to create disruption? And we've taken away the student visas of people that are coming here to do that. It's simple. If you're coming to America to start riots, we're going to take away your student visa. And by the way, every country in the world that I've traveled, 14 countries in 14 weeks, you know what they all say to me? Yes, that's what we would do too. So the only people who seem to disagree with us are a handful of federal judges and a bunch of crazy people who get paid to write and report. So anyway, we're getting rid of that. Now here's some good news. We're going to have the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, the FIFA Club Cup, and then we're going to have the Olympics. So we have to have a Consular Affairs Bureau. We have very good, talented people there, but we are going to infuse technology, again, working with our consultants, to be able to, granted, millions of people are coming into this country for this. And but we've done it to improve customer service. For some of us who served in Congress recognize that about a year and a half ago, we had a meltdown under Biden. You couldn't get a passport. You got people calling, I have a cruise on Friday, my passport expired. In the month of March, we processed 2.78 million Americans, their passports. That is the historic, never in any, it's the largest single month processing of passports ever, and we think it's a good way to build the momentum to be able to do the visas. Two last points I want to make. We have a great team that you've built. I want to especially acknowledge Steve Woodcock. This is a person that doesn't have to be doing what he's doing. He has a very good life in Miami, my hometown as well. He has worked incredibly hard, has done it without any agenda, and we need to acknowledge him. I want to acknowledge Mr. Boulos as well, who did something really great last week. They told us this war between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda is an entrapment. Envoy. A week later, I look on my schedule, the signing of a declaration of peace between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. We signed it at the State Department last week. We hope it will lead now to a lasting, permanent peace that we hope to invite them back to Washington to sign. So two great, and we have a lot of good people working on our teams as well, but these are two great people. Mike Waltz alluded to this earlier, and this is the last point. In the first 100 days of the 47th presidency, 47 wrongfully detained Americans have been returned to the United States, thanks to your leadership and the diplomacy that was exercised to make that happen. 47 for the 47th president in the first 100 days, and that's all credit to you, Mr. President. Thank you for the honor to be able to serve alongside you, for you, and alongside all these excellent people.
So thank you very much, Marco. Really great job. So, I've been involved in a lot of groups of people over the years. Good groups, bad groups, all types of groups. But I have been involved in some incredible groups, but I've never been more proud.
Imagine using your skills and experiences to inspire young minds.
And impressed, frankly. Impressed is maybe even more important. But I've never been more proud or impressed than I am. Some of those television cameras were blazing, and it was on so people could watch this because, frankly, no matter who you I sat around being somewhat competitive. I said, well, let's see, who did the best job, who did the worst job? And I determined that everybody is like the same, and there was no worst job. Everybody was outstanding. Everybody did a job. You couldn't pick a winner. The only thing you can say is nobody did a bad job or even a fair job. You're outstanding. And so I want to just congratulate you all. This is really something. And, we have a job to do. We've done a lot of work in this 100 days. We've established things that are going to start taking place in the next 100 days. I want to see what it's going to be like. I think we're going to have to do this in 100 days, Susie, and we're going to see some very big results from the things that we've done. But I just want to thank everybody. This is really very impressive, and I hope the people at home got to see some of it. Nobody's ever done public cabinet meetings. They were quiet for a reason, because they weren't impressive, and especially in the last administration, they were not impressive. But I just want to say that we're very proud of you, and I am in particular. Thank you all very much. Great job, and I think we're going to have some tremendous success for our country. And I don't know, it doesn't seem like a time to be asking questions. That was so impressive, that to be taking questions. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? I guess we probably have to take a couple because that was the purpose. But if you'd like to ask some, I think they should be very respectful questions at this point. This was an amazing meeting. And so if you'd like to ask a couple, if you'd like to pinpoint them to some of the secretaries, etc., would be fine.
Yes. Secretary Rubio, can I ask you a question? You brought up El Salvador in your remarks. Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia? Has a formal request from this administration been made?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to. but I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it because that's how foreign policy works.
Mr. President, yesterday you told ABC News, Mr. President, you told ABC News yesterday that you could get Abrego Garcia back if you wanted to. Do you think President Bukele would turn you down if you made that request?
I really don't know. I know that he's been a great friend of our country. He's gotten a lot less money than this would take from us if we were going to build these jails and do what he's doing. And they run a very professional operation. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. I really leave that to the lawyers, and I take my advice from Pam and everybody that is very much involved. They know the laws, and we follow the laws exactly.
Yeah, the transition, sir. You frequently took credit for the stock market high in the polls, and then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition is going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. And you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess, both at the borders. You could look at every single one of the people here, and no matter who it is, they're doing better, and they are far superior to what took place for 4 years before us. When you look at prisoners being allowed to come into our country at will, just at will, people from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers, when you look at that, what they've done to our country, and also having to do with finance, look at what happened with inflation. We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but I would say in the history of our country, it ate away at people. And even though you saw a stock market going up somewhat, because in my case, I had the biggest stock market increase, 88% in the last term, in my last term. But I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, and when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we inherited. I took place, this is a quarter that we looked at today, and we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. So this is Biden. And you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden, because it doesn't just happen. It's a big ship to turn around, and we're going to have the greatest country financially in the history of the world, I believe. I think we're going to do things and we had to do it. We reset the table. We were being ripped off by every single country, with just about without exception. I'd have to really think hard for who hasn't taken advantage. And I don't even blame those countries. I blame the person that was sitting right here where I am for allowing it to happen, where our country was ripped off on trade, hundreds of billions of dollars, and now we're doing better than we've done in a long time. You know, we were losing $4 to $5 to even $6 billion a day on trade with Biden. And now we have it down to a very manageable number, and the tariffs, for the most part, haven't even kicked in yet. So that's the way. Stock markets, to me, are an indication, but the big indication is what's happening, and the people around the table know what's happening. Yeah.
The Ukraine minerals deal is set to be signed in 24 hours or so. Is it true that the Ukraine minerals deal is about to be signed in the next 24 hours or so? There's some reports saying that. And if it's true, has the deal changed at all from the last time we heard about it?
Well, I'll ask Scott to answer the question because he's responsible for it.
Yeah, our side is ready to sign. The Ukrainians decided last night to make some last-minute changes. To sign this afternoon, if they are.
Hey everyone, big heads up, Paleo Valley's running a sale on all their meat.
Can you talk about those last minute changes, what was removed or put in its place?
Nothing's been removed. It's the same agreement that we agreed to on the weekend. No changes on our side.
Just to put that in perspective, though, when I came here, I said, how much money have we given to Ukraine? The real number is about $350 billion. It's unthinkable. And we had no security. We had no nothing. We were just pouring money there, unsecured money, putting it in banks, and anybody could have taken it out. You know, anybody over there, it was their decision. I've never seen anything like it. Europe on the other hand, which is obviously that whole situation is much more important to Europe because we have an ocean in between. But Europe gave about $100 billion. It's a lot of money. It's a big sacrifice they made also. But they gave much less than we did. And their money is secured, totally secured, by deposits in banks. The deposits are largely Russian deposits. That's what Europe did, but their money is secured. So they gave $100 billion totally secured. We gave money like it's throwing it out the window. And it was done by Biden, and this is Biden's war. This isn't Trump's war. I'm trying to get out. And more Russian and Ukrainian soldiers a week, mostly. There's some people also being killed in towns where missiles should not have been shot, small cities and towns. But we are trying to save the lives of about 5,000 young, mostly soldiers, that are losing their lives a week. I see satellite photos, probably off one of his satellites, come to think of it. But I see satellite photos every week of fields with arms and heads and legs scattered all over. It's a violent, horrible situation. And more important than the money, I want to save the lives of people from other countries that are dying so stupidly, so needlessly, and they're dying. But I said, what are we doing? How did we get into this war? Would have never happened if I were president. Everybody knows, and it didn't happen for 4 years. Wasn't even thought of. I discussed it with President Putin a lot. Ukraine was the apple of his eye, but there was no way he was going to do anything. Zero chance. And I said, we feel foolish. The Europeans are putting up money. It's totally secure. They get the money back. We're putting up much more money. We have absolutely nothing. And I didn't want to make a complicated deal. I didn't want to make a deal that couldn't be made because Ukraine doesn't have very much money. They're going through a very bad period of time. It's been brutal. But I felt very foolish being a judge. So I said, well, we want something for our efforts beyond what you would think would be acceptable. And we said rare earth. They have very good rare earth. As you know, we're looking for rare earth all the time. Rare earth is called rare for a reason. And they have a lot. And we made a deal where our money is secure. We have to do. It's also good for them because you'll have an American presence at the site, Chris. And the American presence will, I think, keep a lot of bad actors out of the country, or certainly out of the area where we're doing the digging. So we made a deal, and I assume they're going to honor the deal. And I put Scott in charge, and Scott's done it beautifully, but we haven't really seen the fruits of that deal yet. I suspect we will.
Maybe progress. You had set a 90-day deadline through an executive order for Secretaries Hegseth and Noem to review whether to recommend to you whether to invoke the Insurrection Act to send troops to the southern border. Is that something you're still considering?
Well, I'm talking to them, and it's not hard and fast, but I'm talking to them, and I will tell you that the border is the most secure it's ever been. We have never had anything like it. And when you said, Christy, before, it's 99.999, and I guess that means one person maybe, or two people. It's actually turned out to be 3 people came across the border versus hundreds of thousands of people under Biden. And we're talking about people coming. Look, people, they have souls, they have hearts. Many of them are good, but we have a country that's under siege. We have a country that really is I think it's under attack. In many ways, worse than under attack, because there are no uniforms. You don't know who the attacker is, so you really don't. It's not like you're fighting an army. You're fighting people. You don't even know who they are. But 11,888 murderers, many of them murdered, far more than one person, are roaming. Now, some of them have already been caught. A lot of them have already been caught and taken out. But we're being impeded by judges from doing our job.
Don't mix salt with these 3 ingredients if you don't want the Mounjaro effect on your body and your pants loose in a few weeks. You may not know this.
But we're being impeded by judges from doing our job. And hopefully that situation is going to be solved, because I think nobody wants to have murderers and people from jail, and I mean for serious, serious crime. I remember the Biden people used to say, no, these are aliens that came into our country and they don't commit crime. I said, they don't commit crime, they commit worse crime. They make our criminals. Some of these people that they've allowed in through open border policies, the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You can look at some of these people and you say, this is not going to end well. But the people that they've allowed into our country are making our criminals look like the nicest people on earth. I will tell you, these are serious criminals. These are violent criminals. These are people that would kill you and wouldn't lose an ounce of sleep, and they wake up the next morning and they don't even remember it. This is a rough, tough group of people, and we've got to get them out of our country. And the law says, I believe, I hope, and I think Pam will be very successful in proving it, but we've run into, I would rogue judges. These are radical left, generally radical left, horrible judges. And we didn't lose all of these people. You know, we've lost a lot of people to death and to rape, all sorts of crimes committed by the people that poured into our country. And they came in totally unimpeded. Just come on in. And you see it every night. You'd see thousands and tens of thousands of people pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are. And to this day, we're looking for people. We have no idea. We hear that we have terrorists in our country that are so bad, they couldn't stay in any other country, but we're getting them out. And the group between Pete and Christy and Tom Holman and everybody working together, people that you would least suspect are reporting them, and the public is reporting them. The public is seeing. The public is calling and they're saying, you know, I live in a house and next to me moved in a group of people and they are very violent. And would go and would find out and would say, yeah, you're right, they were really violent. And we have information on most of them. So I just think it's incredible what's taken place. But we right now have a very, very secure border. Right now we have the most secure border in the history of our country. So I don't think we have to worry about your question too much.
Mr. President, as Prime Minister, Canada ran against, not only against the Conservatives, but also against you. Yesterday, yesterday he spoke about American betrayal. Are you interested in rebuilding relations with Canada, and if so, how?
No, well, I think we're going to have a great relationship. He called me up yesterday. He said, "Let's make a deal." You know, he was running for office. They both hated Trump, and it was the one that hated Trump, I think, the least that won. I actually think the conservative hated me much more than the so-called liberal. He's a pretty liberal guy. But no, I spoke to him yesterday. Couldn't have been nicer, and I congratulated him. You know, it was a very mixed signal because it's almost even, which makes it very complicated for the country. It's a pretty tight race, but he's a very nice gentleman, and he's going to come to the White House very shortly, within the next week or less.
Mr. President, when will you speak to President Xi of China?
That'll happen. I mean, look, right now, and I told you before, they're having tremendous difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, "Oh, the shelves are going to be open." Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30. You know, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need. And we have to make a fair deal. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, but China, I would say, is the leading one, the leading candidate for the chief ripper offer. There has never been a country that's been ripped off more than the United States of America under some of the dumbest leadership, and it usually starts with the president. And you can go back, and I'm not just talking about Biden. It's been the worst. I mean, the trade deficits and everything else, he's been the worst. But but he had no idea what he was doing. And I think somebody ought to look at the auto pen to find out who was really running this country, because it wasn't Biden. Because nobody could agree to what he agreed to. I mean, he put our country at risk, at tremendous risk, and fiscal risk, financial risk. So I think we have it very much. I really believe that the next 100 days is going to be even better than this. Look, I read an editorial yesterday from a group that normally wouldn't write a good, that this is the most consequential presidency in history, in the history of our country. This is not a particular group that would write that kind of an editorial, but they see what we're doing and what we had to do. And I believe if this group, not just me, if this group wasn't here, I think our country was going to be in...
Were you or a loved one admitted to an Illinois behavioral health facility? A global settlement may be coming in 2025.
If it was lucky, just serious trouble, but a lot worse than that. I think our country could have been a total disaster. Bad things were happening with our country, and we've stemmed the tide, we've turned it around, but we're going to really turn it around over the next 3 years, 3.5 years, we're going to turn it around, and then hopefully it'll be in such great shape. That's my goal, to put it in such great condition that it can't be destroyed.
You mentioned this last night in your speech in Macomb, but we're facing an unprecedented situation where there's a lot of abuses of nationwide injunctions, sort of seemingly designed to curtail your power, specifically when it comes to deporting these illegal, violent aliens that came in under the previous administration. Have you spoken to your team about ways to mitigate this and continue to deliver for the American people on that?
There are ways to mitigate it, and there's some very strong ways. There's one way that's been used by 3 very highly respected presidents, but we hope we don't have to go that route. But there is one way that has been used very successfully by 3 presidents, all highly respected. And hopefully we don't have to go that way, but there are ways of mitigating that. I want to thank you all very much. I thought this was an incredible cabinet meeting. I think there's never been a cabinet. And I want to just congratulate everybody at the table, but we have a lot of work to do, but we're off to a great start. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, everybody, this cabinet meeting was awesome. I think it was a good thing. I don't know, maybe this weekend, I don't know, maybe reschedule the car show for Sunday. Don't know what time yet. To lifters, I hope that you enjoyed your night. You have a good night. Patriots, you have a good night too. We all need to stay strong and continue going forward and continue going there fighting for our country. Okay? Lifters, I know you're there. You're paying attention. You're not saying much. You're just like a nosy little bitches out there. Patriots, good night, and let thirst you. God bless y'all, and I will hopefully see you guys here. I'll see you guys on Saturday for sure, and hopefully Sunday too. We'll see.